Hello everybody and welcome to the stream. Today we've got an interesting one for you. Today we're going to be playing, or rather not playing, some Guild Wars 2. We're going to be looking at the End of Dragons announcement, and we're going to be hopping into a call with the lovely Metall3x, who's going to be discussing some stuff with me today about the End of Dragons live stream that's coming up in a little while. So we've got a little bit of time before the pre-show starts, and we're going to be nice and chill, have a conversation about that, and then we're going to move into the actual main event. What a nice starting screen! Thank you, Ghost. It's brand new. I made it yesterday, and I like it very much. It's very pretty. So yeah. That's going to be a fun conversation, I think. So we're gonna be talking about our predictions and things like that ahead of time. We're gonna take some notes from the event, and then we're gonna hop into the main event, and we're gonna do a live discussion as to what's going on, as well as some giveaways as the thing goes on. So we do have a giveaway open now. If you would like to take part in that, you can do !chest to see how to enter. And then, we are going to be getting into it not long from now. So there you go. We are going to be giving away, I think, 5 community chests today, as well as 1 400 gem code. So, lots going on. Lots to talk about. So, let me see if the lovely Alex is ready, and we will hop on. Hello, Alex, are you there? Are you alive? Let's find out. I'll swap over to the conversation screen once we're ready to go. But yeah, how are you guys doing? Are you all looking forward to it? Hello, Alex. Are you there? Are you ready?
I was born ready, man.
Nice.
How the heck are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
I am phenomenal with a capital phenomenal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's quite phenomenal.
This is the energy I'm bringing.
Nice. I like it. Okay. So, predictions and thoughts. What are you thinking?
Predictions and thoughts. Oh man, I don't know. Well, there's so much. I mean, obviously some kind of Cantha.
I had no idea. No, that never even crossed my mind. You know.
Yeah, man. Blimey. Do you know what? There's been so much to think about, and so many things that everyone wants from the game. I think that. Certainly, I'd like to see this sort of this renewed focus and sort of new leadership from the top actually turn into something real. Because for the longest time, I was sat here when I first saw the Cantha announcement, and I thought, okay, there's a chance here where maybe we're pandering to the old guard a bit, you know.
Yeah.
And sort of living on nostalgia tickets, but the more that the change in the way that ArenaNet have communicated over the last few months, the way that they've been talking, just it gives me real hype, and the screenshots that they've shared from in game, just they look beautiful, man. Like
Yeah. Did you play Guild Wars 1 then?
I did, in fact. I'm very glad this was
Oh wow, look at that. That's awesome.
Reach. Yeah, so I bought this back in 2006.
Oh,
so yeah, so Cantha does hold a very special place in my heart, that it was my first Guild Wars 2 experience. So
blimey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What about
see,
you?
it's weird for me because I never played Guild Wars 1.
No.
I know of Guild Wars 1, and I know some of the areas, so I know about Cantha and things like that. But
Yeah.
I never actually experienced it myself. A lot of the people I played Guild Wars 2 with were there for Guild Wars 1 and have been playing Guild Wars 2 since the beta. So it's a bit of a weird one for me because obviously there's a lot of things that I don't know about or I only know about after the fact instead of experiencing them. But Cantha is one of those things that I've heard people talking about for years as, you know, a longing wish to go back. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with it.
Yeah, it was weird because Cantha introduced so much to the core game that there was the I mean, in the core game you had, I guess you could say you had your end game content like Sorrow's Furnace and is it Sorrow's Furnace or Sorrow's Embrace? Which one's the one in Guild Wars 2?
Sorrow's Embrace is Guild Wars 2.
Oh, you've muted there.
Oh, sorry. Sorrow's Embrace is Guild Wars 2.
Is Guild Wars 2, so it's Sorrow's Furnace in the first game, which was added shortly after launch, and you know, then we got the Fisher of Woe and that kind of thing. But one of the first things that really sort of pushed the difficulty up was some of the additions to Cantha, and that was stuff like Urgol's Warren and the Deep, which was just like at the time was a level of challenge that the game hadn't had before. So Cantha brought a lot of that in. It brought in some really, really interesting things as well. And I think potentially some of the stuff that paved the way for World v World. Because in factions, there was an area, there were two areas called the Echovold Forest and the Jade Sea.
Right, yeah.
And one territory was controlled by the Luxons, the Jade Sea, and the forest was controlled by the Kurziks. And so so every time you'd log on and see the Cantha map, you'd always see this blue or red line snaking down the middle.
Right, I see.
As people won PvP games, it sort of pushed the border in one direction or another.
Okay, that's really neat. I didn't actually know about that, but that yeah, as you say, that does kind of imply that it was kind of the original thought behind World v World, because that makes sense, because it is still very much like that. It also reminds me of the whole like Drizzlewood Coast as well, like the new map. Yeah. It feels very much like that, you know, which is that's really cool. I didn't know that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it was a big shock for me because I was looking for a PvE game, and then to have an expansion or a content pack, or whatever you want to call it, that was actually fairly focused on PvP. Obviously, those of us who know the history of the game know that it was originally a PvP arena-based game, but for them to bring it back like that, it was like, all right, okay.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because I hear a lot about Cantha being the kind of the expansion that brought the challenge. You know, that was always the thing that I heard about it.
Yeah.
You know, even aside from the aesthetics, because that always looks like super cool.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely enjoy the aesthetic, but yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see what they pull from Guild Wars 1.
Yeah, I mean, it was not weird exactly. It was kind of weird for me because this was my first interaction with the Guild Wars franchise was Cantha. So
yeah.
So the Xingjie Island, it essentially took you from 0 to level 20 in like 3 missions, which was the max level in the game. And I was like, all right, let's get prophecies, and then going back to it, and you spend like 3/4 of the map up to like level 15, and it's only right at the end that you hit the level cap. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what about you? What are your sort of big ticket items here for the expansion?
So the main thing that I'm looking for is I want to know, obviously, about all the elite specs and that. Yeah. But honestly, the thing that I would really love to see more on is Fractals. Because I'm a big Fractal fan. I haven't done raids yet, but I have done Fractals. And I play Fractals fairly regularly. So I'd love to see more Fractals in the first place, but also maybe more mechanics relating to that. Because obviously with Path of Fire and Heart of Thorns with the mastery system, we got the kind of the mislock feature added into Fractals after the fact, which made a huge difference to how they play. I'd love to see some more stuff related to that. But yeah, mostly I want to see more about DirectX 11 because I'm a big fan of the DirectX 12 mod for Guild Wars. But that and alliances are like the things that I've been wishing for a long time. So yeah, those are kind of my 3 big ticket items. So Fractals, alliances, and DirectX 11.
I mean, it's kind of interesting that you mentioned Fractals because we almost got kind of almost like a sneak peek of Cantha with the most recent Fractal with Sunqua
Peak, yeah.
Nearly very said Vale there, which is the area. Actions, like you said before, when I'm getting old, everything's just sort of blurring
it
together.
blends together.
Yeah. But there was a lot of there was some really nice aesthetic choices there, and we had I've forgotten the name. What's the big deer goat antler thing?
Oh, the spirit thing that hangs.
Is it Kurin or something like that?
I genuinely can't remember. Yeah, I know what you're talking about though. The thing that appears during the map when you're doing the fractal. Yeah, with the graveyard. But
yeah, I think, like you say, I mean, with the fractal masteries, because those came in. Obviously, those came in with Heart of Thorns, but it was sort of it was almost like a backdated mastery system, wasn't it? Because it wasn't directly tied to Heart of Thorns, and you used your core mastery points, and it's kind of been sat stagnant there for I say for a few years, since 2015.
Yeah.
But with, like I said, what they've done with Sunqua Peak is that they've introduced more something that's quite mechanically challenging. Certainly with that one and the Shattered Observatory, you've now got these quite in-depth mechanical encounters. And as someone who's sort of played Fractals on and off for years and years, it can be quite a shock to go into those kind of things, but then you end up getting really bored when you go into Urban Battleground. Because you're just like, all right, so we run here, kill Dolphy, up the road, kill the thing, job done.
It's interesting you mentioned that, actually, because I play with a few people that have been playing Fractals since they came out, and basically only play Fractals. And I started off with them teaching me everything. So I had kind of like a helping hand through how to play Fractals from very beginner level all the way up to, CM 100. But Sunqua Peak specifically was such a challenge because it was so different from all the previous ones before that.
Sure,
and a lot of it was as you say, it gets very weird when you go from something that challenging and then you go back and play, like you say, Urban Battlegrounds, where it's just like, oh yeah, we just run through the gate here. You'll probably die. It's fine. Just sit down there at the end. The gate will open and then we'll run through. And then that's it, Whereas Sunqua was such a shift in how many different types of mechanics. Like the final boss fight, not talking about challenge mode or anything like that, but just the main normal boss fight is like so mechanically complex compared to a lot of the previous other Fractals. It's like a completely different level. I'd like to see more of that, but I think they've got to do something with the older ones as well to kind of give them a little bit of a refresher.
So you're hoping for a Fractal revamp, maybe?
Yeah, I think at least something on the same kind of level. Maybe not a revamp, but maybe just like a new mechanic that can shift it up. Like we've got challenge mode for some of the Fractals. It would be nice if maybe there was an optional thing you could enable before all Fractals to kind of make them more challenging, Like, that would be cool, which for the most part would be implementable within it, because it wouldn't be a direct change. It would just be something on top, you know, well, like the modifier system you've got with Fractals at the moment, where some Fractals have the, you know, like the speed boost or, you know, the bumping into each other. I think something that you could choose to enable before you go in to kind of revamp or change them slightly would be really interesting, because it gives you more options to mix it up.
Yeah, I think, do you know what, something that I have heard a lot of people talk about something, again, this sort of sits in sort of that field where alliances and the DirectX 11 update sort of is, you know, exactly like you were talking about. They want to see a revamp or a rework of how endgame content works. Because I was having a discussion the other day, and you know, when you're going through the different types of endgame content you have dungeons, you have fractals, you have raids, you have DRM, you have strikes. You know, and while all of them have their own merits, it's all a very disjointed system when it all sort of comes together. You know. And you know, especially with everything that JT was saying on his blog post, that the whole idea of getting someone like Colin and getting someone like Grouch back into the game was to refocus. And I think if you can analyze perhaps not where things aren't working well, because, you know, with the exception of dungeons, I think they all sort of do their job. But it's a very disjointed affair.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that I really have noticed through my time of not actually being a player, but being a Guild Wars content creator, is that one of the most often most often asked questions in the chat is always, I hit level 18, now what?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I feel like I can't really explain that in a way other than there's all these different things. Try one and see which one you like, and then stick with that. Because, you know, like, for example, I've had, you know, like, I have like 5 or 6 level 80 characters. You know, I've played the game a decent chunk of time. You know, I've still never touched raids because they're difficult to get into unless you've got a pre-established group. But then the jump back then would be, okay, well, if raids are too, you know, inaccessible, try Fractals, because Fractals has the looking for group, and that's why I ended up settling on Fractals for the most part. But it's like dungeons, we haven't seen anything related to dungeons for a long time, and they basically don't exist as endgame content because they aren't really.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, which is a shame, because I don't know about you, but I personally really enjoyed playing dungeons, and now I literally never do them. I think it's been almost a year and a half, maybe 2 years, since I actually did a dungeon, because there's no reason to.
That's true. I mean, there are not temporary rewards. There is a reward track in place, but I think just like with everything else to push people away from dungeons, there's quicker ways to earn gold. You know, or faster ways to complete the achievement panels for it, you know, getting all the skins and what have you. And it's a shame, like, because there is some genuinely good content in dungeons, and I think for me, certainly the way that you can structure a story around dungeon encounters, I think it's something they've done with a degree of success in raids and fractals. One of the things that I mean, if you look at the first 3 raid wings, you know, that was all a continuous story. What the white mantle up to Lazarus's coffin or sarcophagus at the end of Zera, which unfortunately you won't have experienced.
No, that's the thing. Yeah.
In fact, something that the community have been shouting about, and I wanted to get your take on this, because again, this sort of ties on to that fact about, you know, an introduction to endgame, is that how do you feel about easy mode raids? Do you think it's something we could see? Do you think it's something they would ever finally capitulate to and go, okay, maybe we need to sort this out?
So it's an interesting question, and one I have thought about a lot. I feel like they won't ever add an easy mode directly, I feel like what they're trying to do, and maybe you share the same opinion, I think they wanted strikes to be kind of the pre-raid content to kind of get you used to it.
Right. Yeah.
The problem I have with that is that with strikes, it feels like most of them aren't at that level. Yeah. And I think it's like the Whisper of Jormag and the Bone Skinner are the two that are the main kind of people consider them to actually be challenging enough to kind of get your feet wet. But then the problem comes up with, okay, so you do those 2 strikes, you're still not going to be ready for a raid just off of that, because you've got to find 10 players anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
I think that's it.
Yeah. What's kind of weird is, and this is, I think this is kind of a psychological thing the community has. Like, there are easier raid bosses than Whisper of Jormag. Definitely. Like,
yeah,
half a wing 4 is easier than Whisper of Jormag. The Bone Skinner, I regularly eat the floor. On Bone Skinner
yeah.
And it's kind of weird because they've actually tried to do this before as well.
Right. Okay.
When I can't remember which time it was they tried to rework Bloomhunger, but they've attempted to do it a couple of times.
Okay.
So I don't know if you I can't remember when they made the change, but originally Bloomhunger was just like a DPS golem. Like you pop off to one side, kill Mossman, and then go to the other side.
Yeah.
Or was it maybe even you only got one or the other at one point? Maybe.
I feel like there was something to do with Mossman either appearing or not appearing, and I think it was RNG as to whether that would happen.
Yeah. But yeah, what they did, they changed it, and their thinking at the time was, we want to give players an introduction to raids, and they reworked Bloomhunger so there's actual mechanics.
Right, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So, and the thing is, I think Bloomhunger 100 is not Bloomhunger 100, but whatever.
The highest one.
Yeah. Top level Bloomhunger. It's actually a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to eat dirt in that fractal.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I've noticed with Fractals is that they have enough of the mechanics that you still have to think for the most part. There are some Fractals where, okay, you can brain dead it and just run for the end and you'll probably be fine, but there are at least a few of them where it is, you have to use your brain a little bit to get through them. And Bloomhunger is definitely one that I would think of. That I still struggle with that Fractal myself. It's one of the main ones that I have issues with, just because, A, you're relying on you being able to do the mechanics right, and B, that the group that you're with knows how to do it as well. Because if you're not all up to the task, then you have a bad time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it would be interesting to see. I don't know if an easy mode would be the right way to do it. But then I'm also very much against the idea of having like a looking for groups for raids type situation. Like, because I know that you can do that at the moment because people pay for raid runs, but that's kind of an indicator that there's a problem if people are just paying for raid runs instead of actually doing the content.
That's the thing. I think that it's sort of that sort of situation is forced upon by the fact that you're having that you've got legendary armor and a couple of the legendary trinkets hidden behind raids as well. So like,
can you see me?
Example,
you can see me. Okay, I just wanted to make.
What's the other one in there? I've completely forgotten.
Oh, yeah. I never remember. One of them.
Yeah. It's like you have to complete wing 5, 6, and 7. Because and then for legendary armor you have to do for the first stage you have to do 1, 2, and 3, then the crystalline heart has you running all over Tyria to do stuff, and then you have to kill Demos to get
the
final bit. So it's as much as I would like to see them do it, because they've priced a lot of people out of the market with legendary gear, without pushing them into World v World or PvP, can't see them doing it.
No.
Although I would love it if they did. I'd love it if they did. But...
PvE trinkets, man. Could you imagine?
Ah, well, Season the Dragon.
Yeah.
Season the Dragon. Oh, crikey! We're tomorrow. Tomorrow we actually get Draconis Mons, don't we? So
yeah.
we all get to do Searing Ascent again.
Oh boy, so exciting!
So exciting.
It's like Chalice of Tears all over again.
Oh man.
I didn't do it the first time around, so doing it for the return to the Seasons of the Dragon was my first time doing the Chalice.
Ooh.
And I was lucky enough that I have the prototype position rewinder.
Oh yeah.
So I was able to cheese it and do it in about 20 minutes, but it still was a nightmare.
Oh, it's insane, isn't it? Did you manage to pick up all three achievements for going up there?
I think I did, because I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but I know that I'm pretty sure I got at least 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I did it once and I was like, that's
yeah,
it.
Done. Never doing it again.
And
yeah.
Like, but do you want Aurora?
Yeah.
I was like, not that much.
Yeah. I'm good. Actually, I'll pass on that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need Aurora. It's fine. I don't need it.
Fine.
Yeah.
But I think what's great is that there is challenging content out there in the game for not necessarily for whatever you want, and it does sort of railroad you a little bit into that challenging content. Like you say, if you're unable to find a raid group, although you said just before stream, you've got involved in the Hardstuck Discord community.
Yeah.
Guild, and there's always people in Hardstuck who are willing to teach you raids. You know, the training.
Yeah. But that's it's funny you mentioned that, because that is one of the main reasons I wanted to join Hardstuck, was so that I could get into raids with a dedicated group.
Yeah.
So
I mean, dedicated is quite
well,
a stretch.
Yeah, you know what I mean though. More so than I don't have 10 friends who play Guild Wars, so I needed somebody else to...
Yeah. These people will do.
Yeah. There's more than 10 of them, so there's a good chance that I'll get a group.
Yeah. And, you know, the Discord's, 9 or 10,000 strong.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And, you know, there's always people there to do content with. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so people shouldn't be afraid of raids.
No. I think that's it, isn't it? It's. I think people are very tolerant of new players in raids. I think it's just getting the courage to find a group to do raids with is the hard part. Yeah. And again, it's, you know, if and this goes to everyone in both chats as well. Is like, if you're unsure about what you're doing, just let people know in chat. Just ask. 100%. Yeah.
I got pulled into a Doom group. Was it a few weeks ago? And I was like, "Hey, what's up? What we doing?" And he just went, "Doom." All right, okay. So on one screen I had like a guide, and the other I was like, yes, I know what I'm doing, sort of, but tell me again. Sort of like that Columbo thing.
Yeah. Now I know what to do, but like, say that somebody didn't know.
Say that somebody didn't, because not everyone has the courage to speak.
Of course, absolutely, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Right.
Oh dear. Yes, it looks like the pre-show has begun.
Oh.
We've got art and we've got a bird.
We've got art. We've got the bird. Oh,
there we go.
Do we have sound on this?
They stood no chance alone. They said
well, I do.
To retake Claw Island. The pact was the
Let me just refresh this.
Tyria had ever seen. With the Vigil forming the bulk of its army.
Oh, there she is.
There she is.
Arcane technological advancements, and the
You should all go check out Rook. She's great. I think she's Bird of Chess on Twitch and on Twitter as well. She's really cool. I've done a beginner's guide to Guild Wars 2 on YouTube, and Bird was one of the people on it to help me make that. So
I remember that.
Pretty cool.
That's a great guide, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, we worked really hard on that one. Yeah, there were 4 of us, and we kind of tried to pick the things that we wish we knew when we started. So, yeah.
Very quickly try and put a border around this before we go live. Professional. Oh, nuts. No, that looks rubbish. We'll get rid of that.
Corrupted the artesian waters to be its own
Remove
magical
display.
juice box, and
No,
then
don't.
Yeah,
remove
how are you,
display
chat? How are you doing?
Oh no, Ash,
You're
what have I
looking
done?
forward to it? I don't know. What have you done?
All gone wrong.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, chat? What are you looking forward to? Any predictions? I'd love to hear what
Saved
they are.
it.
You
I
saved
saved it despite the
Well
fact that I
done.
broke it and it's entirely my own fault.
We just will pretend like you didn't.
So I think what Rook's doing at the moment, it seems that she's is she sort of giving us a bit of a history of
I think so,
of what's
yeah.
gone on in Guild Wars 2 so far.
Yeah, it seems to be going over kind of like the lore of where the dragons
you've got-
fit in and everything.
Why can't I hear you?
Oh, there we go. Hello, that's my fault.
Hello.
Yeah, it does seem to be she's going over the lore of the dragons and things like that, and like how it fits into the story.
Yeah.
Great summaries out there, but to start,
But yeah, like I think in the last kind of few years, there's been like you say, you know, everyone's been making these fantastic guides about how to get into Guild Wars 2. You know, there are now so many resources out there now.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
That we quite honestly didn't have when back in 2012. I think the this is if I gather you all around the campfire and tell you a horror story of a pre-Dolphy era.
Oh, God. I can imagine. I don't want to, but I can imagine that, unfortunately.
It was a time. It was a time for sure, and the community will not admit how long it took them to figure out that the Zerka set existed, and it was probably the best for damage. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the thing. I was quite lucky because I kind of grew up on tutorials and guides and things like that for every game that I ever played. So it was like it kind of felt like it made sense for me to do stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
It's partly why. So a few years ago, I did a Guild Wars 2 Beginners Academy, which I did it on the actual Guild Wars stream, and it was like 2 hours long, and I basically I did like a little intro to like all the most important information, like as a brand new player, like you've just booted the game. And then I took like a ton of questions, and it was so nice to see like how many questions people had about the game, you know, because a lot of people can miss things when you're playing for the first time, and just having someone point them out to you is like, it blows your mind. Like the first time I found out that you could right click on a chest that's popped up, like a loot chest, and it would just straight go into your inventory without opening a dialogue window, I can't believe how many years I went not knowing that. You know, it's such a significant quality of life thing that I just didn't realize existed. And I was like, they just added that, right? Like, that wasn't new. And everyone was like, no, that's been in the game for ages. Yeah, you just didn't know. It's like, great, cool.
I can't remember when it got added to the game. Do you know what? It might have been there the second they started putting those chests there.
Yeah.
I never knew about it until one day, like I probably just accidentally right-clicked.
Yeah.
Okay, that does that then.
Neat.
But yeah, so I've seen someone in your chat says rifle for ranger would be nice.
Yeah.
So what are you hoping for you know, what's your big hype elite specialization? What weapons have you got a couple of weapons that you'd like to see on some classes?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I primarily play Necro.
Yeah.
So I've already got my my two very different specs, with the Reaper and the Scourge. I was quite lucky because apparently those are really OP, and I didn't have to do much work, so that was great.
It was brilliant.
But I'm also a real big fan of the Mesmer, but I've never found an elite spec that kind of meshed well with me, so to speak. Like, Mirage is the closest, but, I've never really found one that was, like, the perfect match for me. And given the teaser that we saw from the blog post, I'm really hoping we get something juicy. I don't care whether it's spear or whether it's dagger or whatever. I don't care. I just want something that's cool, but still elegant. And I think we might see that with the new Mesmer spec.
I think that's kind of interesting because the Mesmer has always been one of those, like you say, one of those more elegant classes, hasn't it? And I don't know. So here's the thing. What do you reckon? Do you think it's dagger or spear? Do you think they're going to slide us a new weapon in here as well?
See, this is the thing, right? I looked at the picture, and I can't see how anyone can think it's a spear.
Okay.
Now, I'm also of the opinion, because there were a lot of people speculating that they're doing something with swords, like on top of the already existing swords.
Yeah, like Mesmers have both.
They have swords already, so yeah. I don't understand where that was coming from. But when I look at the picture, I can kind of see why people think it's a spear. But I don't think it will be a spear. I think it will be a dagger, and it'll be kind of something like a phantasmal dagger, kind of like the Revenant Elite spec for Shiro. Has like he has the blades that kind of hover around. I think something similar to that, but with phantasmal blades, would be like phantasmal daggers, would be super, super cool and super, super fun. Or like a psionic kind of, vibe going for it. I think something like that would be really cool.
Yeah, I can kind of get behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? Did you have any ones that you had on your wish list?
I've got a couple. Rifle Ranger.
Yeah.
I think sort of like a I don't know.
Like a Beastmaster kind of vibe.
Maybe sort of like a gamekeeper or a warden character.
Yeah.
I think that what with Deadeye, there's no point bringing another sniper class in. Because I think Deadeye's got that pretty much covered. But if it works as like as almost like a short range weapon, like a shotgun or something like that.
Yeah. Blunderbuss.
Blunderbuss. Do you know what? That would really fit the HMS Divinity.
Yeah.
It's got that massive barrel.
Yeah.
So I think something like that. Something like I said, we've already got the sniper class. A lot of people are clamoring for Revenant Greatsword. Which I will join just because I've made Sunrise and I want to use it on my Revenant. I
built Dusk I built Twilight, and I was like, do I keep hold of this, hoping that Revenant will get the Greatsword spec, or do I just give it up? In the end, I gave it up because I got 6 months. If I really want it back again after we find out, I can go and make another one if I have to,
So just to backtrack here, what I'm getting is that you pretty much main a Necro, and you gave up Twilight on a Reaper.
Yeah, it's funny. It makes when you hear it, you don't think it makes sense, right? But my thought process behind it was that at the moment I main Necro, but with End of Dragons coming out, I've kind of decided that I'm going to kind of step away from Necro because I've played it a lot. Like I played Necro. It's my very first class that I ever played. So for 6 years, I've played Necro almost exclusively. I've played kind of a Revenant for World v World, and that's kind of it. Like I didn't really step out of that comfort zone. I'm only just now learning how to play Scourge. So I'm hoping that when End of Dragons comes out and we've got the new elite specs, I'm hoping to kind of step away from that. So at the moment I've now swapped to Firebrand for the first time. I'm trying that out
I
for
love that you've stepped
Fractals.
away from one overpowered
Yeah, I mean,
class
obviously,
to
yeah.
another.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what fun would it be if I'm not playing the most OP classes? So I swapped from a Reaper to a Scourge and a Firebrand, and when they release the new Elite specs, maybe I'll go to the next OP one, you know?
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
not? You know,
See
I
what
like being a
comes out
troll. 100%. But yeah,
Yeah.
I just don't think it was worth it for me to hold on to the legendary, to be honest. I'd rather have the
That's
gold,
fair enough.
and then I can spec up all my other stuff, you know, because I've got the money to do it at that point. So
Yeah. It's I mean, it's weird because I was a ranger for a long time. I was a ranger main for years.
Okay, yeah.
And so I was there playing, power DPS longbow kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I tried switching to Guardian, but it got to a point where my friends wouldn't play with me if I was a Guardian because I'm so bad at it. Right?
Yeah.
I'm genuinely terrible at Guardian, and I've got a little bit better now that Dragon Hunter's slightly OP.
Yeah.
So I can usually kill things before they kill me, but it's still a mess.
Yeah.
The game actually tried to stop me playing Guardian for about a year. That it just wouldn't. I just couldn't log in on my Guardian.
Oh,
Of course
really?
I could have just made a new one, but that would have been admitting defeat.
Yeah. So you brute forced it. Yeah.
So I brute forced it back to it. Yeah, and so I mained Ranger for years. So played a bit of Druid when Heart of Thorns came out.
Okay. Yeah.
Back in the pre Boonbot.
Nice.
Grace the Land days when Grace the Land actually did healing. Yeah, and I'd always been fascinated by like the lore and the style of Revenant, and and when Path of Fire came out, it was probably about a year after Path of Fire came out. All right, I want to see what this renegade thing's about, and I'm hooked, man.
Yeah.
I'm hooked.
It's interesting. Have you tried the Herald spec at all?
Oh, the Power Herald.
Mm.
Yeah, it's jokes. It's possibly even more broken than.
Yeah. Can you guess what I play in World v World?
Let me think. I mean, the weird thing is that I think there is also like a support herald.
That's what I play. Yeah,
Oh,
it's a support herald, but it does more damage on average in Zergs than my Reaper does. Because you hit so many people with so many different abilities, and it has such good crowd control that I never felt the need to play... I played Reaper in World v World and went, this isn't working, I keep getting killed really easily. What else can I play? Swap to the... Because it's a support build, it uses the hammer, so it's like, it's a proper chunky frontline build. But it still does like a ton of damage, and I'm just like, this should be illegal. Like, this shouldn't be allowed.
Do you know what? That's what I got told when I joined the Gandara World v World server. They were just like, what do you play, Revenant? And they were just like, take a hammer and just wave it at people.
Yeah. But it's funny you mentioned that, because I'm also on Gandara as well. And it was literally like the same thing where I was like, everyone seems to ask for a Revenant, so I'm going to play Revenant. Yeah. It means I don't have to do any work, but everyone loves having one. Because I thought about Mesmer, and then you've got like you have to do all the portals and the wells and fields and stuff, and I'm like, I'm too stupid for that. I just want to be told where to run and hit things.
Yeah.
But I can do that as a really strong class. Okay, well, fine. Yeah. Don't mind if I do.
It's like, if when you eventually get into raids, don't take Mesmer, because have you heard about? You must have heard about Chrono Jail.
Oh, I've heard about Chrono Jail.
You'll be locked forever in Chrono Jail, but at least it'll mean that you'll regularly get groups.
Yeah. That is true. This is the thing, at some point you have to just accept defeat and go, if I want to play consistently, I'm going to have to do the thing that I don't want to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this is an argument about... I mean, this sort of touches back on what we were talking about earlier about challenging endgame content and getting people involved in everything.
Yeah.
Is that you can have you can have 6 or 7 people in a raid group there just to do DPS, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like your picked 2 or 3 people who actually have to do mechanics.
Yeah.
Whether it's do the lamp in Kadim or do the greens in Doom or I guess do the cannons at Sabbatha. It's like there are those people. Those are the people that ensure that the fight continues and that the fight completes. And it's those kind of players, and that sort of locks in with the class as well.
Yeah.
Those kind of players are invaluable, and I'd like to say that I'm one of those kind of players. But I'm not.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that whole kind of 7 people being there for DPS and then the other 3 are the important ones, because you can kind of see that already when you look at like Fractals, for example, which for the most part most people can get into. When you're doing 100 CM, it is guaranteed that for the most part you will need to have an Alacrity Firebrand in your party. Like if you're an Alacrity Firebrand, you're guaranteed a spot in Fractals because it's so monumental to success. And I think it's the same with raids, like you were saying with like a Chrono Jail, a great example of that.
I mean, the thing is, it's like as an Alacrity rev, like I get instant spots in strikes and Fractals and that kind of thing. But it just so happens that to play Alac rev, you just need to press F4 every now and again. So it's like...
Yeah, which is nice for you, I suppose, as a player, because it means you don't have so much pressure on you to do a specific rotation or a combo or anything. You just press a button and it's great.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Ideally, I should be doing more DPS than I am, but who are those? Who are those?
Yeah. 0.001% of players that have like a million deeps, then they can maybe make that claim, but anyone else is just struggling like the rest of us. They're just struggling better.
Hey, buddy. Nah. So, do you think we'll get a new raid wing with Ender Dragons, or do you think that raids are where they are? And that.
Well, it's a difficult one because going based off of ArenaNet's track record of content for Endgame, dungeons, World v World, then raids. I'm not the most confident that there is going to be a new raid wing. I'm more confident of the fact that they might say that raids are not over, and then we won't see anything.
And then you won't see anything.
I think maybe Living World, they might do something, because the thing is, they've introduced strikes now, right? And dragon response missions and things like that. Like, they've very much moved away from the kind of the small group not solo content, but like small group hardcore content. And they've moved to more kind of instanced public content, I think either they will change up how raids work in general after this point, or they will just not do anything more with them, and they will replace them with more of the strikes and dragon response missions.
No more dragon response missions. Please, Jesus, no more dragon response missions.
I think I set myself up for failure with those because I was away for a few months when the last few episodes of Icebrood Saga came out. So I was behind by, I think, 3 episodes when I came back to the game because I had a bit of a break. The problem with that is that on episodes 7 and 8 is only dragon response missions. And I did them in one sitting.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Because I'm apparently a masochist. So I did 8 or so dragon response missions, and at the start, I remember this very fondly. I remember at the start when I did the first one, I was like, oh, this is really cool. We get to go back to Metrica and like see it in a new light, and there's like the new atmosphere, and I thought that was really cool. By the 8th one, I said, I'm never doing those again.
So,
and I haven't.
So when Hardstuck announced the DRM tournament, you were just like, no.
I was like, I appreciate the commitment to something like that, because I know I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah. And yeah, it's but the thing is, I think that the situation where we ended up with DRMs, it's sort of been talked about a lot, and I think that's why there was a lot of lack of hype around Ender Dragons before the blog post started coming out, because there's rife speculation about what was going on with ArenaNet. They'd been forced to can Icebrood Saga very abruptly, which is why we got a very curtailed ending. The last time, do you know what, when we did Guild Gab last, the last Guild Gab we did was it Shadow in the Ice? Episode 2. And like we just didn't care enough to do Guild Gabs for the other stuff. And like, looking at how Champions progressed, there would have been like no content to talk about there anyway. Not no content, but little there to talk about.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I think that was one of the main issues I had. Like, Icebrood, I can see where they wanted to go with it, and I feel like if they had, issues with the studio and COVID outstanding, I feel like Icebrood had the potential to be a lot better than it was.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And I think everyone kind of knows that. Like, no one is taking Icebrood as this is all it was ever going to be. Everyone knows that it was meant to be more than it was. But obviously, a lot of people, because we've had such a long gap between Path of Fire and now, like, it's a long time. And the thing is a lot of players kind of hit that, well, there's a content drought, so to speak. And players were like, yeah, I'm not going to play anymore because I've got nothing to do. I don't want to play in the new maps. I don't want to do the meta events, And they kind of checked out mentally, I think, from the game a lot. And then obviously, when End of Dragons was announced, everyone was like, meh, maybe it'll be good. Maybe I'll come back and play the story and then go again. Yeah. It's like a few of the people I play Guild Wars with, or rather used to play Guild Wars with, they kind of stepped away because they feel like they've done everything, And you look at the gap between Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire, and it felt like there basically wasn't one.
I mean, we went pretty much straight from. So Heart of Thorns.
Heart of Thorns, it's straight into the Living Story almost.
Living World Season 3, and then you had.
I think it wasn't that long in between. I don't think so. I think there was a gap. There was definitely a break in between, but I don't think it was very long. Maybe I'm just misremembering.
I think that one of the reasons that it felt not more constant, but like we got more regular content updates was because they nailed down their release cadence.
Absolutely,
With season 1, it was every 2 weeks, which must have just been a nightmare to work on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then and the crazy thing is, with season 2, they tried to do it again. They said we want to release something every 2 weeks, and they actually took a mid-season break for like 3 months after the end of episode 4. And which was it was a really strange place to take a break there, because episode 4 was before Silver Wastes.
That was Divinity's Reach Part 1 and Part 2, wasn't it?
Dragon's Reach 1 and 2.
Dragon's Reach 1 and 2, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought, that was weird.
They took a break after that because they were like, we can't keep up with this.
It's funny you mention that, actually, because I'm trying to remember me playing back through it, and that is a really odd place to stop in the story as well. It's like you spoilers for anyone who hasn't done Living Story. Fair warning, Living Story Season 2, I am going to talk about it. It's, like you go to you actually go to Divinity's Reach and you start kind of pointing the finger, so to speak, and then you finally get somewhere where it's like leading to a resolution, and then that's the end of that episode.
Yeah. So
I can't imagine what that must have been like for someone actually playing at the time to get to that point and then it's like, yep, okay, now you got to wait for that resolution for however long.
Yeah, it was very strange, and I think that when you hear some of the creators who were around at that time talk about that period of content drought, and then, in fairness, a content drought for a large part of 2015, and I always kind of disagree with the concept of a content drought in general, because unless your entire achievement panel is complete, which it is,
yeah,
it's like there is stuff to do in the game.
yeah,
And there's a difference between there is nothing to do in the game and stuff that you don't want to do.
yeah,
Right? It's like,
yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
want to farm world for a gift of battle, but I've got to do it if I want to lead.
Yeah,
you know?
100%. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think with the changes that have been mentioned in the blog post, and we've got Colin back, we've got JT involved, we've got Grouch back, which I mentioned the friend of mine that kind of stopped playing Guild Wars for a while. He's kind of checked out. He's done everything. Like, he'll come along for Fractals every now and then, but that's it. As soon as I mentioned that name, he was like, oh, there used to be someone by that name who worked at the company a while ago. They used to be really involved with the community and used to do PvP stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it's the same one. It's the same guy. They brought him back. And he was like, oh. And he was like, he was saying that he felt like Grouch was the only one that had a real proper connection with the community and like really pushed for stuff. And the fact that he's now back on board, you've got JT in charge of ArenaNet and Guild Wars, and you've got Colin at the helm alongside, he was saying, like, that is genuinely, like, if there was ever going to be a time for Guild Wars to really push back and say, no, we are definitely staying here for the long run, that blog post alone, I think, reinvigorated a whole load of veteran players who previously had checked out and they were like, yeah, I'm not going to bother, or I'm going to play the story and then leave. I think it's that was the real kind of indicator that something is happening, and it genuinely could be. I mean, you look at all the content creators as soon as they found out, and it was like spam on Twitter of just like, yes.
Yeah, and like you say, when you look at social media, as we've progressed up to this announcement, I've not seen the Guild Wars Twitter sphere like this in years.
Yeah, 100%.
Years.
I think the last time I saw it like this was around, Heart of Thorns era. That was the last time.
Yeah, because there was. I always found the run up to Path of Fire quite disappointing, because there was just no. It was just sort of like. There was the attitude at the time was, oh, when it's ready, we'll tell you, and then it was like, oh, we're releasing an expansion in like 6 weeks, and we're like, oh, okay,
yeah.
You're gonna tell us about Elite Specializations, and they were just like, here you go, see you later. But, what? Again, I don't know if anyone in chat or you remember this, Ash, but there were we got spoon fed the Elite Specializations week by week. And there are some perks of being an ArenaNet partner, and one of those perks was that we got the chance to sort of make content to coincide with the stuff going live. And like you say, when when Colin and Grouch were announced as coming back, and Twitter just exploded.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it was like. You had everyone getting like, for the first time thinking like a Reaper with a great sword, man. And I was like, no, what's this about? And the fact that they'd sort of been slightly signposting it in the game.
Yeah.
Sort of picking it up and just going, what? That kind of hype. And the fact that I don't even think we got like a pre-show or like a release. We might have got a release stream for Path of Fire, but to be honest, no one really cared. Like,
I remember when that happened. So there was a live stream for it. And it was at least as far as I'm remembering, I haven't been back to watch it since. So, you know, we're talking about a while ago when I'm remembering from. But yeah, I remember being quite hyped for it just because I get quite hype about any game that I'm interested in, but I also know how to temper my expectations.
Yeah.
So I get hype on the idea that there is stuff to talk about, you know, like rather than the content itself, because I'll take any information as information to work with, you know, and to look forward to. So, like, with the Path to Fire live stream, it didn't really feel like I'd learned any more about the game from before I watched the live stream. You know, like, yes, we got some of the info, like the mounts and things like that, you know, but it was very much like, it felt a bit weak. It's the only way I can describe it. And I kind of got the same vibe with the Icebrood Saga live stream as well.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you have similar opinions on.
I have opinions that an ArenaNet partner probably shouldn't voice on the day of
the new one.
When the Dragon release
Yes. Yes. The only thing I will say about Icebrood is that I really enjoyed the trailers they put out for them.
Oh, the trailers were beautiful.
The trailer for Icebrood was incredible. Like, genuinely, it's one of my favourite trailers, and I will try and use it again and again and again wherever I can. Genuinely, like
it looked
a good thing.
It was beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous.
100%.
But looking at the stats now on the official Guild Wars 2 stream, you got some friends, by the way.
I do. Hello.
I can tell you now that there are double the number of people watching the pre-show
Blimey.
for End of Dragons than there were for the actual Path of Fire release.
That's obscene to me.
Like, if that doesn't...
That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I mean... You can see, for anyone watching my screen now, you I assume you've got it on yours now. We can see the artwork for the for Dragonstorm there. So it looks like Rook's kind of making her way through the story at quite a pace.
Yeah, we're almost done with it now.
Yeah, I love watching Rook talk. Like, she's so animated and excited.
Yeah.
And, like that woman is just like a ray of ultimate positivity. It's like
100%. Yeah. It's really nice as well because, you know, she makes sure to like keep everyone on the same page as well. Like now, for example, like with the pre-show stuff, like she's very, very careful to explain everything in a way that you're not going to get lost if you're following along. Which is really, really nice. It is a live demonstration. She is live right now.
Is this actually live?
She's doing this live. Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
That is hardcore.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. But yeah. So
that's amazing.
I don't even know what time it is. What time is it? 20 to 5. So we've got 20 minutes.
We've got 20 minutes until End of Dragons. That's insane.
It's crazy to think that the live stream is happening because I've been thinking about the live stream for so long.
Yeah.
The fact that it's happening right now and I'm just like, oh, wait, no, this is real. This is a thing that's actually happening.
It's happening. It's like before you go on holiday, isn't it? You know,
yeah.
You've got
Yeah.
You know, when your parents are throwing those last few bits into the car and you've already got your seatbelt on and you're halfway through your travel suite and you're like, come on, let's go already.
Yeah, I want to be there now. 100%, yeah. Well, new lovely people who have just arrived. What is your predictions for End of Dragons? Anything you're looking forward to seeing more about? We kind of touched on it a little bit earlier.
I need to take a very quick bio break.
Yeah, not a problem.
I will be back in 1 second.
No problem. Yeah, how are you all doing, everybody? It's nice to see you here. I hope you enjoyed yourself at Dawn the stream as well. I know Dawn was doing the dailies today as well, so nice look at some actual Guild Wars 2 gameplay. But yeah, we're just going to be chilling with the expansion announcement live stream. It's going to be very interesting. We've already kind of touched on some of the other stuff that we're expecting to see and what have you. So yeah, I'm interested. We got 20 minutes to wait, so I want to see what you guys are thinking. Quagun's playable race. If only that were possible, eh? I think the tonic's unfortunately gonna be as as close as we get to that, but I wouldn't mind Tengu playable race. That would be pretty cool. You have only one prediction, and that is Cantha. Well, it's a very good prediction that you've made there, because it's accurate. We are getting Cantha, so it's going to be interesting to see how things shift into the new era of Guild Wars 2. Because I know I am looking forward to it. By the way, guys, if you are here, please do !chest in the giveaway, and you can see how to enter it for a giveaway for a code for a community chest. I'll be giving away one of those very, very shortly.
It's me, Mario.
Sure. Ah, hello. Welcome back.
Hello. How are we doing?
Very good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's like
Good.
the last thing I want to be doing is up and running around the house when we've got the live stream.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, sorry to leave you in the lurch there for a second, but I was like, I'm not moving once this live stream starts.
Yeah. Once it starts, I'm done.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we've got one very good prediction from Dawn. Dawn has predicted that Quaguns will become a playable race.
Will be a playable race. Okay.
Love it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll take Tengu. If Tengu are a playable race, I'll lose my mind.
Well, see, this is the thing. Like, Tengu were originally supposed to be a playable race.
Yeah.
And as I'm sure we all know by now, the Dominion of Winds was supposed to be their home city, and there's a little blocked off area just to the west of Lion's Arch, which
big
I
gate.
think was supposed to be their starter area or something as well. But crikey, something happened there.
What happened there? That was weird.
No, it just very quickly flashed, didn't it? And
yeah.
It might have been the transfer away from Rookstream back to the Guild Wars 2.
Very possible.
But it's kind of weird because in Prophecies, Tengu had quite a fractious relationship with the player character. That Tengu was sort of like almost kind of like trash mobs for sort of like your level sort of 12 to 15 kind of area.
Yeah.
But then in Cantha they became a lot more involved in the story.
Yeah.
So as NPCs, you know, that kind of thing. And I think you even ended up getting a henchman or a hero that was a Tengu.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
Once Nightfall came in, but what's interesting is that we've got one of the going back to DRMs. We actually have a Tengu in the Caledon. We've got the Caledon Forest.
That's right.
DRM.
Yes, right at the end of it, isn't there?
I don't want to say. Is it somebody's Sparrowhawk, isn't it?
Sparrow something, or Swift Sparrow or something along those lines. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that, but you're right. Yeah, there is an actual interaction with a Tengu, other than the Tengu standing outside the gate.
Yeah. And it's been confirmed that voice. I mean, once the first time I bumped into this character, I was like, okay, this character's going to be an Ender Dragons for sure.
Yeah.
But on Twitter the other day, Guild Wars 2 have been doing this really great thing where they've been introducing the cast.
Yes.
Of Ender Dragons, and she was on there as well. So.
Oh, okay.
It's just how they'd implement it.
You know? This is the thing. Like, I know from a games design perspective, like, they already said that they regret making the char because of how much extra work it is for them to make things compatible with the char. You know?
Yeah.
Because they are so different from the other playable races that they make things very, very difficult. And unfortunately, Tengu is another one of those things where you're going to have to be careful with how you do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's roughly the same skeleton as Char anyway. I think.
Exactly. And I think that's part of the problem. So they might be able, if they can get around that problem, I think that would be a huge boon for the game. Because it would
Yeah.
also leave a great way to get involved in Cantha and stuff, separate from the expansion directly. Because like with the Path of Fire and Heart of Thorns, those came as part of the story. Like, you discover their existence through the living world,
Yeah.
And it would be really nice to kind of harken back kind of to how Living World Season 1 worked, where it was an actual in-world change without there being a physical change. Like,
Yeah.
it'll be like, oh yeah, by the way, we've discovered this. So new players will know that it's a thing now without it severely changing the game, like Living World Season 1 did, where it was a one-time thing. They did it and then that was it, because look at Lion's Arch, Lion's Arch with the remake, where I never experienced the original one except for the personal story.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
And that's the thing, like they had to stick with that change after they made it. You couldn't pull it back, so it would be really cool to see if they could maybe do something similar to that and implement the Tengu. I think that would be really amazing.
I mean, because of how Factions and Nightfall worked, that you have a self-contained starting zone, and as I said earlier, you got very quickly hiked up to max level before they kicked you out into the world. There's an argument there that for if they were going to implement a new race, casting themselves off from, I guess, the core Tyrian map, I don't think there are going to be many better opportunities to do that.
I think you bring up a good point, because even when you look at like the Revenant class or profession, the only way they were able to really integrate that in was that it came from the Mists.
Yeah.
Somewhere that is separate from core Tyria, as an explanation as to how it came about. And I think they would have to do the same thing with the Tengu, where they would have to do something similar, like you say, where it's like, okay, this is actually completely separate, but it's always been there, you just didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Like that I think would be the best way to do it.
Yeah. It's just like, what if they pull out the Dominion of Winds, man?
Yeah.
What after like nearly 9 years they pull out the Dominion of Winds?
Yeah.
And like that in itself.
Yeah.
Is...
100%. That gate opens in Lion's Arch, people's minds will be blown.
Yeah, and it's just like the expansion can be shit for all anyone cares.
But that
now.
gate. Yeah. The gate and there are Tengu. Done. That's it. I'm done. That's all I needed from Guild Wars. Yeah.
Game over. Thanks.
Yeah. Career is over. I'm done. Yeah. I mean, I really hope we get to see something like that, or at least make them much more visible in the world. Because
for sure, yeah.
we see Tengu very, very sparsely, and I really would love to see some of the core maps have more Tengu around. Because obviously, like with the Living Story, they did the whole thing with like the brandished and the destroyers and stuff, and they became more present in the existing maps.
Yeah,
I would really love to see Tengu make more of an appearance in some of the existing maps already, as opposed to just being locked away behind Cantha, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, if you refresh your stream...
We have got the art stream.
We've got the art stream. Mine didn't automatically start.
Yes, unfortunately, Twitch is quite bad for that. Yeah. Right. I think I'm just going to run a quick giveaway for a community chest.
Go for it.
So I will be back in a memento.
No drama.
Okay, let's roll for the giveaway, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't entered already.
I'll just try and mute myself quickly on Discord so Ash can't hear me rambling.
! community space 1 if you would like to join the giveaway. I will be drawing it very, very shortly. Please note, for these giveaways, they are sponsored by ArenaNet, so thank you for that. I just mute myself as well, but that's fine. Yes, so they are sponsored by ArenaNet. ArenaNet very kindly gave us the codes to give away for these. If you haven't already, please do check out the links that have just come up in chat. If you haven't played Guild Wars before and you want to give it a try, click the free-to-play link there. Otherwise, if you would like to buy the expansions through our affiliate link, you can do so there with the buy link as well. So, shall we draw a giveaway? I think we shall. Let's do it. So, you do need to be present in chat if you want to enter and win. I will give away all of the codes at the end of the stream, so please be aware that you won't get the code straight away. Once the stream is over, I will then send the codes to you. You'll get a whisper on Twitch, so make sure your whispers are open, and we will see you on. So, the first winner of the first community chest is Helena Wolf. Congratulations, you have won. Please speak up in the chat to make sure you are here, and you will get a lovely community chest code at the end of the stream. So congratulations. There you go. Welcome. Glad you're here. Glad you were able to win. So you get to enjoy the very lovely community chest rewards. We will be doing some more giveaways during the stream today. We will do a whole bunch after the announcement is actually done. So there will be a gap in between where there won't be one drawn, but there will be a giveaway. I'm going to be giving away 4 more community chest codes, and I'm giving away 400 gems today. So make sure you stick around for that. And then maybe as a little treat towards the end, I might see if I can shuffle up any other codes I might have. And you can see if we've got any spare ones that haven't been previously claimed for a special reward. So, now that that giveaway is done, I will reset the giveaway, and I will start a new one. So you may re-enter. You may re-enter the giveaway for the next one, and we'll draw that when we're done. Okay. All right, I'm all done. I'm all done. Okay. There we go. Lovely.
There we go. Hello.
Perfect. Hello.
Hello. I was just one of my guys has just said they'd love to see player housing in game.
Yes.
And,
oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, and I was talking about the fact that we have a home instance, but it's not really used for much aside from you go in and mine your nodes. But what is really cool about it is that you, depending on the choices that you make in the personal story. It actually decorates it in a particular way, and it spawns particular NPCs. So if you're a Norn and you decide to help the Kodan instead of the Dredge, or for example, it'll actually put the Kodan into your home instance as a few NPCs, and it completely changes it. I
genuinely didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I guess because I don't play repeat races with different choices, so I'd never really discovered that. That's a really interesting point, actually.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting to see when you go into your player housing with other races after you've got past the level 30 mark. But then, even as you progress, you'll see nods towards the Order of Whispers, or to the Vigil, or to the Priory. And again, we had Sun's Refuge, which I thought was a fantastic idea. I was so on board with Sun's Refuge. Sadly it was abandoned, but the collection, the way that the collections worked on it to sort of build up your NPCs and other artifacts and that your home.
100%.
And tied in with the achievement with your achievements, I thought it was great.
I really like Sun's Refuge as well. It's interesting you bring that up because unfortunately it was kind of left by the wayside. Kind of in favour of the Eye of the North, which is a shame.
Yeah, Eye of the North it's too big to feel intimate,
I was going to say it feels empty. Yeah. Even if you have everything there, it feels empty.
Yeah. And I was kind of excited at first because the thing is, I think the concept of Eye of the North is actually sound.
Yeah, absolutely. Having a proper hub. In an area like that is a good idea. Yeah, it's just as you say.
It certainly does a lot to draw people out from the private lounges. Hey, Virtual, how you doing, man? It draws people out from the Mistlock Sanctuary or the Lava Lounge or whatever.
I will never leave the Mistlock.
So good though, isn't it?
The Mistlock is just the pinnacle.
The pinnacle.
I don't need anything else. I literally,
No.
even the other passes are useless to me because fractals are my main thing. And there's a fractal portal literally right there. I don't need anything else.
Yeah. So I bought the airship one, which I think was the second one they ever released.
Yes, yeah.
And it hovers above Vigil Keep, and it's all right. You know, it was great at the time, but like the shape of the airship, it's not a great community hub.
Yeah,
but
Mistlock
Sanctuary.
Mistlock is a big floaty space portal with loads of stuff. It's great.
It's so good. Like
it can't be beat. I'm convinced that there is not a single other lounge pass that is better. And a friend of mine swears by the Divinity's Reach one. And I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't have a fractal portal, though. It
doesn't have a fractal portal. No.
It doesn't have a fractal portal.
And it doesn't have the low gravity bouncy thing.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And who doesn't love low gravity bouncy things?
I know, right?
You can glide forever. It's great.
Forever, yeah. It's just cool. I think it has literally everything. It's even got a portal to like all of the capital cities as well, right?
And
to Lion's Arch Aerodrome.
Yep. Yeah. Mistlock. There's the big portal in the middle that teleports to all of the standard map cities like Divinity's Reach, Black Citadel, all of that stuff. Yeah. And then, but everyone who might say, "Oh, well, you know, it doesn't go to any of the other maps," it's like, well, that's what the season times are for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I have, so it's fine.
Just get all of those together and you're golden.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So we're fast approaching.
2 minutes.
Oh, exciting, isn't it?
Damn exciting. I don't know if did you ever get your cut?
I did. Yes, it is currently right there.
Over there. So partners, we got this little. I think it's actually reversed on my screen now for some reason. But partners, we actually got this little card from ArenaNet to officially invite us. This doesn't give us a code or anything like that. It's just something nice. And do you know what? I really like, Ash? We've got a minute left before we go live. Look, it's from ArenaNet and it's not from NCSoft.
I know. I was so happy when I saw that.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm keeping that.
Yeah.
It
goes on the bookshelf with the other ones.
Yeah. Right, okay. I've got my notepad.
I will get my notes ready too.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
So both chats, just remember to get wild, all right? Tell us what you love.
Yes.
Okay, so there are 24,000 people watching on the Guild Wars 2 page right now. And there's another 5k on WP, there's another 2.5k on Teapot, Mucklock's got another 2k.
Crazy stuff.
Just, there's 30,000 people here watching.
I love it.
At least.
I'm so glad. I'm so looking forward to where Guild Wars is going to go in the next few years. I genuinely think that this is going to be the start of a new era for Guild Wars.
Me too.
Here we go.
Me too. All right, here we go, guys. Strap in.
This land, it's a monument to mortal resilience. They built new lives upon the very thing that sought to end theirs.
Is this new?
I feel like it's extended.
Flames. Brilliant, hot, then gone. Those who face eternity easily forget what a lifetime means.
Maybe not.
No, I think this is the original trailer. That
yeah.
No, it doesn't have to be this way.
No, Kunavine. It does. They need me.
Okay, here we go.
So good. Love it. Here we go.
Hi, Tyria. Welcome to the Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons First Look. I'm Ruby Bear, ArenaNet Community Manager, and we are all so happy you're here today. We know you've been looking forward to this for a long time, and we have too. With me are our lead content designer, Andrew Gray, and studio director, Colin Johansson. Hi, guys.
Yeah!
Hey, everyone. Really excited to be here sharing details about End of Dragons. Hey, Guild Wars community. It's nice to see you all again. It's been a little while. It's nice to be back in the chair.
Welcome back.
Thank you. You know, this is a really big day for us. Back when we started development on Guild Wars 1, our very first campaign was Factions in Cantha. And it was our first ever expansion as a studio. We were coming off of a big win of shipping our first major live update, Sorrow's Furnace, for those of you who remember that. And Factions was an incredible journey and learning opportunity for all of us in the studio. We'd never made an expansion before as a studio, and so many of the lessons we learned from that expansion really resonate in the way even we still approach expansions today. It's been 15 years, doesn't feel like that long. It's been 15 years since we first visited Cantha in the Guild Wars franchise, and it's truly special for all of us to finally get a chance to go back there once more.
You know, small claim to fame here. If you have a copy of Guild Wars Factions, I can proudly say the screenshots on the back were taken by yours truly.
Nice work.
Yeah, that's right. So in addition to being the setting of our first ever expansion, Cantha was also home to the final story we told in Guild Wars Beyond, the content we created in Guild Wars to bridge the gap to Guild Wars 2. That content, Winds of Change, was also the last piece of content I personally got to work on in Guild Wars 2, so it holds a really special place in my heart. But today, we're talking about End of Dragons. Basically, from the day we announced Guild Wars 2, plays have been Cantha win.
True.
I remember right around launch, there was an interview with a content creator, Matt Visual, and the entire interview, he just kept saying Cantha and staring at me over and over again, waiting for me to twitch or give away anything whatsoever that would give a hint as to when Cantha was coming.
And I remember Dan Howell just straight up hounding me to say Cantha confirmed during a live stream.
That's right. Well, Matt, Dan, and all of you who wondered about Cantha, today is your lucky day. We promised you a tidal wave of information for End of Dragons, and we are ready to deliver that. We have members of the End of Dragons development team joining us throughout the rest of the show, and this is only the beginning. Today is just your first look. We're going to be giving you more details on everything we announced today leading up to the launch of End of Dragons. We also don't want to spoil everything. We're going to save lots of things for you to discover for yourself when End of Dragons launches in early 2022.
Spoil everything.
So let's start your first look right now with the brand new End of Dragons trailer.
Oh, a new trailer.
New trailer. Right, pay attention, everybody.
There's familiarity in this strangeness. Like a song half remembered, a tune without words to carry it. I know you, and yet I don't.
You will soon, little one.
Who are you talking to?
Just an echo in the mist. A possibility.
Look around us. Your children would be trapped in the past, if not for me. Their worlds are carved from the jade that I gave purpose. I promised them a future. A century of progress cannot end this way. I'm not... Cantha's not just a spoke in some grand cosmic wheel.
Would a great innovator give up so easily on that promised future?
I won't. I'll find a way to save us all.
All right, that was sick.
Wow.
Who is she?
I don't know.
The future is out there. What are we waiting for?
The cycle is reborn.
Wow.
Is it my
Hope you liked the
Trin?
new trailer. If you're not already,
My Trin's
tell
in
us in chat
prison
what you
or she
think.
escaped
Yeah.
with Horace,
There's
I
a
think.
lot in there for everyone to go back and dig through and find, and we encourage you to go rewatch
Did
the
they
trailer
mention the
after
cycle
the
is
show
reborn
and see what else you
before?
can discover.
Were those Aether Blades?
No,
that were
it
back
was
there?
complete.
And who was
So if
that
it's Aether
mysterious
Blades, it
sir
could be
that
my
was next to
Trin.
Anka? Could it be the replacement?
Everyone's
for the,
talking about fishing now,
Untitled
apparently.
Yeah,
Chapter?
fishing 100%. Yeah, fishing is the only important thing.
we got
I
to
noticed
see the
that too. I
trailer,
have it in
and I'm
caps.
excited for them to
Fishing.
find everything out. But that is just the beginning of today's reveals. The first area of End of Dragons we're going to take a look at
Okay,
is
they
a
did
slightly
mention
deeper
Cyclo's
look into the
Reborn
story,
before.
the
Okay,
setting,
that makes
and
sense.
the world.
I was going to say, because
Something
that's on
I'm
the
really
trailer.
proud of in End of Dragons is how closely the narrative and design team worked together to shape the themes and the story of the expansion. Yeah. The
This is
gameplay and the
gonna be
narrative truly
gorgeous.
complement one another.
They do. So let's hear from some of those developers on the narrative and
Okay.
design teams about the story and the setting of Cantha.
End of Dragons is the culmination of so much of what we've been doing in the Guild Wars 2 story up until this point.
We have a lot of really compelling open story threads that we've built up over the years, and we're going to pay off a lot of them in End of Dragons. And I think players should be excited about how we've weaved all these different interpersonal stories with the great cosmological questions of Tyria into some satisfying payoffs that I think they'll really enjoy.
Last time we were in Cantha was for the Winds of Change content pack for Guild Wars 1. And what we basically saw was there is a lot of lingering consequences of Shiro's rise. And we teamed up with this group, the Ministry of Purity, in order to try to purify the region. They didn't stop at just trying to purify like disease. They started trying to kick out everybody else who didn't fit with their ideal image of what they wanted Cantha to be like.
And then they closed off to the rest of the world. And that was where we left things. So it's easy to imagine that because Cantha was closed off, that they would become a time capsule. However, they've been affected by the same events that have been affecting the rest of Tyria. The rise of Zaitan, the death of Balthazar, all of these things have had just as much of an effect on Cantha as they have had on the rest of the world.
We actually, as a team, fairly early on, made a timeline of all the major events that happened in the world and how they would have affected Cantha in order to try to figure out how this world would have been shaped over time.
Longtime fans who really loved Cantha and Guild Wars 1 are gonna find a ton to love, and frankly, new players might have their minds blown a little bit.
It wouldn't be Guild Wars 2, it wouldn't be the story of the commander without the commander's allies. In End of Dragons, we find ourselves traveling with Marjorie and Casimir. I think anybody who really misses Jory the detective is in for a treat.
The most important familiar face that's going to be accompanying us on our journey into Cantha is Aurene. Aurene's story has become sort of the spine of the Guild Wars 2 story.
Aurene is constantly grappling with her responsibility and how much she needs to do, and her trying to feel that out is going to have repercussions for the entire world.
In this expansion, we have really breathed life into every corner of the world that we could. You know, there are so many little moments throughout the world, moments that touch you, moments that make you laugh, moments that make you cry. You know.
Okay, did you see that there? That was hand animation during conversation.
Yeah, I did notice
what I'm most
that.
proud about
And the
is
lip
how
sync
we were
is
able
better
to
too.
really craft a story that
Oh boy.
very elegantly blends
I know,
the
right?
gameplay elements that I think Guild Wars 2 is really strong at, with a story that just keeps a really frenetic pace and lets you live out in this world while also experiencing a lot of really cool gameplay moments.
There are so many things that I am excited about people experiencing for the story of End of Dragons. One, just from a design perspective, we have so much technology that has improved or has been entirely new since the last time we made an expansion. And as a result, this expansion has some really unique, cool set pieces that I think are going to blow people's minds.
Hello, I'm Erika Ishii, and I play June in End of Dragons.
Yeah.
Like Connor said, the story in End of Dragons is the culmination of a lot of long-running story threads, from stories that began 15 years ago, all the way up to stories and events that you took part in over the past year.
And what he said about building a timeline for Cantha was 100% true.
Yeah.
I guess somebody who loves the world building part of the job, like it was a great experience to sit down with the narrative team and
So Erica is
sort of plot out the last 100 or so years
Valkyrie in
of
Apex,
the history of an empire.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Erica does a lot of
One of our
like
goals with this
familiar
expansion
voices.
is to create a world and story that's familiar and exciting to those of you who remember Cantha from Factions, but also accessible and equally exciting to those of you who are visiting it for the first time. And we cannot wait for all of you to step into this new Cantha. Nick Hernandez and Ali B are up next to tell you about map and content design. When we started designing End of Dragons, we wanted to incorporate the verticality that Heart of Thorns brought, and we wanted to lean into the freedom of movement from Path of Fire also. So let's take a look.
Okay, keep talking.
My name is Ali B. I'm one of our senior content designers, and I work primarily in our open world area.
My name is Nick Hernandez. I am a game designer here at ArenaNet, and I am a content designer for the Xingje map.
So fans can expect from the End of Dragon maps to kind of really feel something new and different that they haven't experienced before.
With End of Dragons, things are a bit more differentiated between each of the maps, and each of them has their own unique feel. For Xingje specifically, tried our best to make content that hits on all gameplay types, right? Think of it like a vacation island. It's like this beautiful, serene, spiritual, spacious locale that feels both peaceful and not, right? Depending on where you are and what's going on.
So some of the highlights of the Ekavald map are definitely those gargantuan trees, the lake, the rivers that kind of pour into the lake, where you kind of have these underground rivulets and stuff like that, where the player can kind of traverse through there. Definitely those gargantuan trees kind of give you that verticality and freedom of movement we talked about before. So if you've got a sky scale, that's going to feel really cool. So Cantha is definitely not the same as it was in Guild Wars 1. What you have to remember is that it's been 250 years. So how has that area evolved? What's the geography like now? Are the trees still petrified? Like what's kind of going on with that? As well as the people, right? So the people who were there 250 years ago might not be the same people, but there are definitely some familiar buildings and structures.
So what players can find, or will find, with Xingje is that it is topographically different than it used to be, but not to a point where there aren't familiar tones. The thing I'm most excited for when we finally get to End of Dragons is just seeing how players feel about the maps in and of themselves. I would love to see how people feel about all of the work that's been put into the world and the world narrative, and you know how that gameplay and those stories make people feel. And just get reception on what they think of it. I think it's going to be really exciting.
Hey everybody, I'm Noshida Lal. You'll be hearing me as Detective Rama in Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons.
We hope you enjoyed the preview of Xingje and Ekavald, how the game and game world are different now, and how those changes affect map and content design.
And that's just two of the maps.
Yeah.
When we sat down to make End of Dragons open world content, we kept replayability in the forefront of our minds. We want all the End of Dragons maps to be maps you continue to go to for years to come.
Yeah, they reflect the history that so many of you are familiar with, how Cantha changed while it was isolated, the beauty of the game world, and it's so many things that Guild Wars 2 has to offer.
And like Ali mentioned, these maps are tons of fun to explore, and are especially fun to explore on your mounts.
Speaking of mounts, here's another End of Dragons preview for you.
Come on, come on, come on.
Come on, come on. Come on,
what?
Give us the good stuff.
The siege turtle. What the heck?
I'm Kirk Williford. I'm a senior game designer at ArenaNet and a team lead on End of Dragons.
My name is Brian Walter. I'm an animator here at ArenaNet.
So Siege Turtle is one of the most iconic and memorable creatures from Guild Wars 1 and Cantha. So when we first talked about a mount for End of Dragons, the Siege Turtle immediately made it on the list, and the team quickly
That is fucking ridiculous.
Oh my god.
Feature in Guild Wars 2, and with
it's Blastoise. It's a
So Siege Turtle
Blastoise.
is our first multiplayer co-op mount.
Oh my
The Siege
god.
Turtle being a multiplayer mount means you'll be able to pick up a friend and ride around together.
It's a multiplayer mount.
Both the driver and the passenger
Oh my
had something fun to
god.
do.
That's going to be amazing.
To bring new
They've
players
taken
into
that
a game.
Final Fantasy 14 whale thing. haven't they?
100%, yeah,
They don't need mounts
100%.
previously to enjoy the Siege Turtle. You can pop up your mentor tag and they can jump on the back of your turtle and you can show them around the maps to areas they haven't seen before.
Oh, that is so
That's
cool.
such a good
Like
way
those
to
mounts,
do it.
We really put a
Oh
lot
my
of care
word.
and research into getting their behaviors to feel believable and alive. I spent months watching turtle videos while prototyping the animation.
I'm so hyped for this.
Just turtles eating, walking.
That's insane.
There's going to be
Turtles do
taxi
run, there's
services
videos
for
of it,
world
I've seen 'em.
completion.
So my favorite thing to
Oh my
animate on
God.
the Siege Turtle was just the simple walk animation. It
Aw,
really got
look at that.
me into the mentality of a turtle, watching these giant turtles and how they walk and what their foot placements are. If you actually toggle the walk animation in-game, it kind of maps out to more or less a turtle's walk speed. I actually did the calculations and I was like, oh my gosh, that's like the exact speed. Perfect, I nailed it. When you think of turtles, you don't really think fast. So getting this thing to run over terrain in a fun and rewarding way was an awesome challenge.
The Siege Turtle is a personal favorite of mine, and I am incredibly excited to see players be able to hop on one for the first time and really
I was
experience
not
the
expecting
power and
them to do
awesomeness
more
that
mounts.
I
the Siege
wasn't
Turtle
either.
End of
I thought they were
Dragon.
going to move to something else completely. Like they did with the gliders, because they haven't added anything to gliders at all.
Hey, I'm Tina Wong, and
Wow.
I play Empress Yin and Calidris and Akane and Tengu Reporter and all sorts of other kind of characters that you might meet later down the road in the
She played the
expansion of
Empress.
Guild
Yeah,
Wars 2
the
End of
Empress.
Dragons.
Okay.
The Siege
Running
Turtle
out
as
of
a
keys.
two-person co-op mount is something we're so eager for you to experience in End of
Wow.
Dragons.
That
I
was
remember several years
unexpected.
ago, we had a company-wide meeting to brainstorm what we wanted for the next expansion, and Siege Turtles was one of the very first things called out. We all knew that they needed to be part of Cantha in Guild Wars 2.
As a loyal member of the Luxon Armada, I agree. And Kirk wasn't kidding when he said that both the driver and passenger get to participate in the fun. You also may have noticed that the Siege Turtle looked a little more high-tech compared to last time.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, that's actually a common thread in Cantha. We're going to be telling you more about that. And in fact, there's going to be a article about Dragon Jade technology on our website later today.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Did they say Dragon
isn't
Jade?
The only new method of
Dragon
transportation
Jade
coming.
technology.
Kirk still has more to share, so let's see what else he has to tell you all.
I wonder if they're going to do a tie-in with the Azurfa. Fishing! Fishing and skiffs!
Fishing and skiffs!
Fishing and skiffs!
I'm
There we go.
I'm a senior game designer at ArenaNet, and I'm a team lead on End of Dragons. We've been wanting to put fishing in Guild Wars 2 for as long as it's been around. It just always came down to finding the best time and place.
Yes!
When we were building fishing for Guild Wars 2, we looked at our own personal experiences going
My
fishing and found what was the
MMOism
most
is
memorable.
complete.
And for me, when I went
There
fishing
we
as
go.
a kid, I went with
Like,
my family.
I've waited
when we bring it to
years.
Guild Wars 2, we wanted to think about how can we make that a multiplayer experience. You can fish off of docks, or we've created skiffs which allow you to fish around the waters of Tyria by taking your fishing boat and exploring with your friends. We wanted the waters of Tyria to
Fishing
feel
boats.
as authentic
Fishing
as we
boats.
could and most
I love
lifelike
it.
as we could to a real fishing experience. And so there are hundreds of different fish for
Oh,
you to
there-
discover in
there's
Tyria
definitely
all
gonna be
across the
skins for
world.
those
There are
boats,
so many that have been
100%.
added to the game, and kudos to that first person who finds all of them. Including the common goldfish, as well as the most notorious catfish in Ascalon, Old Whiskers. End of Dragons
Nice.
has 5
Oh,
new
wait,
mastery
so this
tracks,
is
including the
retroactive
Siege
in
Turtle,
An old
skiffs,
map.
Cool game.
and fishing.
That's
Each
so
with their own levels
cool!
of progression for players to discover as they explore Cantha. I'm most excited
It
about
sounds
the
like they're
going to
do it based on the zones as well, so certain fish will only be in certain zones. That's so cool.
We've all
That's
wanted to go to
cool.
Cantha for the longest time, and the team has done such a great job bringing it to life. And I just can't wait for players to see
Because
it.
fishing is the best. Man.
Jesus.
I mean, you
I'm
could
Ray
cut
Case,
now
and
and
I
I'd be
voice
happy.
Yao, a local, mostly friendly agender engineer.
Like Kirk said, we've been wanting to add fishing for a long time, and we're really happy with how it's shaping up in End of Dragons. The multiplayer aspects, over 200 different kinds of fish, and the ability to fish from docks, the shore, or skiffs. Skiffs, by the way, are another of the 5 new mastery tracks that Kirk mentioned, along with Siege
5.
Turtles.
Going out with your party and fishing is just a ton of fun. You're able to anchor your boat and then just walk around. You could go fishing, obviously, but you can also dance. You could play sea shanties with your instruments. And if you didn't catch it, fishing is not
Sorry, did you say sea shanties?
You can fish all over Tyria.
Sea shanties with instruments, yeah.
Nice.
You need to kind of go on a full world tour of fishing.
Fantastic.
We'll have more details on these mastery lines, as well as the remaining 2 unannounced lines between now and the end of Dragon's launch.
Ooh.
For our next look at End of Dragons, let's see some legendaries that will come with the expansion.
Ooh, here we go.
So remember, guys, if you complete Season of the Dragon, you get a ticket for the precursor.
I'm
okay?
Chelsea
Yes.
Hill, and I'm a senior prop artist.
So get your
introducing
Season of the
16
Dragon
new legendary
achievements
weapons,
done.
all available on release day.
Whoa.
16,
This set of legendaries is inspired
that's
by the
underwater
Elder
weapons
Dragon
as well.
Areen, who plays a significant role in the End of Dragon's story.
That's an
From our
Areen
perspective, we
themed
wanted the
legendary.
legendaries to show Areen's journey with the commander, from the first
Wow.
time you meet her as an adorable little
Dang.
hatchling, to now all grown up as our own Elder Dragon. The precursors represent baby Areen, while the legendaries represent adult Areen. Areen is one of my favorite characters, and I'm so happy that we got to create a legendary set based on her. I can't wait to see
That's
players running
interesting.
around
Yeah.
and getting with the legendaries.
Did you hear that though? Legendary set.
Legendary set.
The preview showed like a bow, a staff, a dagger.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's crazy. Are they doing a legendary for each weapon from her?
For Areen?
These 16 new
That's
Areen-style
interesting.
legendaries are all
That's
going
a
to be available
bold
on
move.
End of Dragon's launch day. And if you want a head start, you can earn a voucher for one of the precursors Chelsea talked about with the current Return to Living World achievements. And we'll talk a little more about that later.
I am pumped to get these weapons.
I need them.
I'm Areen's champion. Like, I should have legendaries that make me look the part.
I'm Areen's champion.
Wow.
That's debatable.
So next up, here's Cameron Rich to talk about strike missions and encounters.
Oh, here we go.
More stronks.
More stronks, boys.
Hi, I am Cameron Rich. I'm a senior game designer here at ArenaNet, and I act as the lead for the encounters team. For End of Dragon strike missions, we're taking some epic encounters from the story of End of Dragons, and we're creating really awesome, challenging 10-man versions of those encounters for you to enjoy.
Cool,
For End
cool.
of Dragon strike missions, we're doing something new in that we're adding challenge mode difficulty to each strike mission to release with End of Dragons. These challenge
That's
modes will
what
be
I'm
enabled
talking
shortly
about.
after launch, and they
That's
are
what we
designed
want.
to give
That's exactly
our
what we
hardcore
want.
players, our existing raiders, something to really sink their teeth into. In addition to the challenge modes, we're also going to be revamping our reward system for strike missions to simplify and standardize them across the game. With End of Dragons, creatures and combatants, we're taking a little bit of a different approach with design. One of the common problems that we're trying to address is coming across a creature that's of a high rank that feels like it just has a bunch more health and a bunch more damage. So instead, this time around, you'll see creatures unlock
What
new
is that on
abilities
the
as
right?
they increase in
Yeah.
rank. So if you find a creature on the field that's a veteran, it might be using one set of skills, and if you come across it again and it's an elite
What?
or a champion, it'll have unlocked some new skills along the way that will hopefully test you and your strengths as a player. I am really, really excited for fans to get their hands on the strike missions for End of Dragons because there's a lot of surprises that we've been able to put into the design. Lots of opportunity to work together with your friends to overcome some really epic bosses.
Okay, that's
Wow.
hopeful. Like, challenge modes and
Yeah.
and a revamped reward system.
And the champs not just being
Hi,
bullet
my name's
sponges,
EK.
you know,
I play
like
Gord,
actually being able
and
to
as you know,
improve in
he's the
different
best.
ways.
And I'm happy
Yeah.
to be a part of the cast
Wow.
for End of Dragons. Looking forward to it.
Hopefully it means I'll start getting less eternal ice for doing strikes every day.
I know how many of you are looking forward to taking on some new challenges.
It'll be
and
Dragon
we
Jade
can't
now,
wait to
won't
see you
it?
tackle these
Oh,
new
God.
encounters. You'll find additional challenge modes and improved rewards. What you just saw was a sneak peek at some of the maps for the strike missions. We can't show you the bosses or the fights quite yet, as it would be a huge story spoiler, so we look forward to when you discover them in the expansion.
And when you can expect challenge mode to live up to the name. Cam and his team are doing an amazing job creating diverse, challenging content. All of the fights are a ton of fun. They're probably some of my favorite things in the expansion.
They are super good. We're also going to meet some familiar enemies from Guild Wars factions, like Naga, Kappa, and Wallows, all updated for Guild Wars 2.
Reimagining these familiar armies in Guild Wars 2 was an exciting challenge, and I'm super pleased with the results. The team is also revisiting how we work at scaling creatures. So instead of just getting a bunch of health, they actually get new abilities as they level up.
Nice. So, Andrew, why don't you tell us who we're going to hear from next?
You're going to hear from past me about guild halls.
Guild halls?
Oh boy. Oh, what? Yeah!
Get out of town!
My name is Andrew Gray. I'm the content design lead on Guild Wars 2. So one of the coolest things about the guild hall is the location we chose. It is some fine beachfront property in the old Xingje
Oh,
Arena.
that looks lovely.
That was one of the most beautiful maps in the original game.
This is a recreation of the...
It says the Isle of Relocation. Is it relocation or
the original leader of the Ministry of Purity was defeated
Yeah.
at the end of Winds of Change.
This was a Guild Wars 1 guild
acquisition
hall.
works similarly to other guild halls,
boy.
in that you go on an expedition.
Oh,
We did build the
Isle of
expedition a little
Reflection.
bit differently this time, though, where we focused more on smaller encounters. We made, scaling a big cornerstone of it, so that even if you're in with a small group, you can go in there and you can defeat it. It's a lot more encounter focused, so you're fighting individual bosses versus like, wow, that's a lot of enemies on the screen. So my favorite highlight is the amount of water in the space. We deliberately chose an island because we wanted it to pair really well with skiffs and fishing, and it really
so
worked out
good.
well. It's just a ton of fun to go around with your guildies, going around on a little fishing trip.
Screw the Gilded Hollow. That's where I'm going.
Guild hall. And then also there's a really large
what's at Haven
arena
can
that's right
go
there
and
on
do
the
on.
beach.
Yeah.
So if you're into like Mai Tai fueled guild battles, like this is the guild hall for you. My favorite part about building the guild hall was honestly just spending time in the area. It felt like I was going on vacation every day because it's so beautiful. But beyond that, when we built the expedition, we decided to build one with a little bit more of a story behind it. You have some familiar characters there, both existing friends and some that you meet along Into Dragons that add a little bit more personality to the acquisition process, and I think players are really going to enjoy that. I'm most excited to see how guild decorators use this space, honestly. I'm always blown away at the amount of creativity, the crazy things that they're able to build in guild halls. And when we built this one, we specifically had them in mind. We wanted to leave lots of space for them to be able to build all of their crazy adventures in there. So I'm looking forward to see what they do with the space that we've made for them.
Hi, I'm Sarah Skolovich, and I
be
am
voting
the
in
voice
circles
of
around
Uncut
it. Yeah,
in
yeah,
Dragons.
100%. Yeah. Why wouldn't you? You know? Wow.
Hi, I'm Kelly Hu, and I play Captain Mai Trin in the Aether Blade Armada in Guild
She's
Wars
back.
2.
She's back.
You called it.
Dragons.
She's back.
Good work, past Andrew.
Yes.
Thank you for
Love
sharing
it.
all of this and getting players ready for their new Cantha Guild Hall.
I cannot stress how beautiful this map is. We actually had somebody return to the company, Darren Claypool of the Township of Claypool fame.
Yeah.
He came back, and the work he did on this map is just phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah. So at this point, you're probably wondering what's next for Elite Specializations.
Yes,
because
please.
We haven't talked about those quite yet. So thank you for hanging in there. Andrew, why don't you get us started?
Here we go.
So Elite Specializations
Spear or
offer players
dagger?
a
Spear or
fundamentally
dagger?
new way to
Definitely
experience
dagger.
their profession. They give players access to new playstyles by changing their profession's core mechanics and unlocking new weapon and utility skills. Our Elite Specializations for End of Dragons are heavily inspired by Cantha. We dug into some deep lore to truly tie these elite specs into the region. We've also broken a lot of our rules with profession and elite specialization design, and I think players are going to really enjoy the result.
Yeah. So today we're going to give you an overview of the core mechanic changes and weapon and utility skills for the elite spec that we teased a few weeks ago. Afterwards,
Ooh.
I'll be joined live by a few
They're
members of our
changing
development
the
team
way
to
it
talk about
works
what's
with
coming next for Guild Wars
equipping-
2 in 2021,
What?
give you our beta dates, and wrap up
Okay.
today's show.
They're giving beta dates today. The Virtuoso.
Oh, okay.
Hi everyone.
It's
I'm
not
Carl
a
McLean,
dagger, it's
senior
a-
combat designer
it's a
working on
sticky
Elite
thing.
Specializations for End of Dragons. We're here today to preview some of the abilities for the upcoming Mesmer Elite Specialization, the Virtuoso. Let's jump right into it.
Ha! See?
Ah, you're right. It's a dagger. Fine.
To begin,
Look at those
let's briefly
skill
cover the profession mechanic changes.
ability like icons. They
From the
look
start,
amazing.
you will no longer have access to clones. Instead of creating clones, the Virtuoso will stock a blade on themselves for use with their blade song profession abilities. Phantasms will still initialize, but will stock a blade instead of creating a clone when they finish with their action. We'll have some
Okay.
brief demonstrations of different ways to gain blades
They did
during
do
this
the
preview.
floating blade thing.
Now, let's go look at the Virtuoso's weapon, the dagger. The first skill for the Virtuoso's dagger is a consistent projectile attack called Flying Cutter. Instead of a payout of a 3 auto-attack chain, any target struck by 3 of the projectiles it launches will receive multiple additional attacks on the 3rd impact. The second skill of this weapon is Blade Call. This ability spreads daggers which pause at their ending point or wherever they collide with terrain, and then return to the Virtuoso for a second attack. If the blades strike an enemy during this ability, you'll stock a blade for your profession abilities. Here you can see a blade stocked above my character's left shoulder.
Okay.
Then
I dig
second
that,
blade
yeah.
shows another
That's
above my
exactly
right
what I
shoulder.
was hoping for. Oh, look at it. It's so good. See?
Unstable
I
Blade
knew
Storm
it.
is the
I
third
knew it.
ability, dealing pulsing damage along its path and hurling blades
And there's
at
the
enemies
Shiro
within
type
its
thing.
reach.
Oh my god.
Okay, let's use some of these stocked blades we've accumulated. Blade Song Harmony is the Virtuoso's most accessible.
I tell you what,
blade
this is a
song,
this is a
extending
full
each
power
stocked blade
spec as well.
separately over a
Looking at
period
these,
of
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Damage
It's
to
because the
pure
weapon
deeps,
damage.
yeah.
Blade Song Sorrow. Each of your stocked blades readies
Confusion,
itself
love
and
it.
launches toward your targeted enemy
Nice.
to strike them simultaneously, while inflicting confusion.
Yeah, by the looks of it, yeah, clones
We'll
are no
rebuild
longer
a
a
few of our
thing, and
blades
it's
after
all
this by
based on the
switching to a
daggers
greatsword,
damage. So
then using Mirror Blade
when
and
the
Phantasmal
illusions
Berserker.
come up, they just convert into daggers.
All right, so you build up
Blade
your
Song
blades
Dissonance.
by
Yeah, by using
Fire
the
your blade into a
illusions.
single strike that dazes enemies.
That's so cool.
We'll regain
And
a
such
full
a
set
clever
of
way
blades
to
by
tie it
using
back
utility
into the
skill Blade
illusions.
Renewal. Blade Turn Requiem will block for a short time and deal damage to nearby enemies based on the number of blades stocked.
That looks so cool! Oh,
Your heal skill
wow.
is called Twin Blade Restoration, which throws daggers
Holy
at
shit,
enemies
that's
and
got
grants bonus
ages.
effects
Hey, look,
if you
look,
hit
it
foes
said
with
psionics. It did say psionics.
You called it, man.
I did.
Blade Renewal will grant
Oh,
distortion
man.
and
Yeah,
fully
look,
stock
see, it
all
says
blades
psionic
that can
on the
be used differently
tooltip.
for each of the blade songs.
Oh, man.
Rain of
It's
Blades
like a
drops
stand
daggers
circle.
on foes for its duration, punishing enemies that remain in its area.
Look at those ability, effects.
They look so
Sword of
good.
They're
Decimation
so
is a
good.
single impact in an area to strategically immobilize enemies.
Wow.
Psychic Force is an area attack around the Virtuoso that pushes enemies away. And finally, 1000 Cuts as your elite skill is a fire and forget line-based damaging ability that requires foes to stay in its narrow path for full effectiveness.
Wow.
So there you have each of the abilities that the Virtuoso can harness for the expansion. We'll cover the traits another time. We're excited to see how the daggers fly when you get your hands on this burly elite specialization. I've been Carl McLean, and on behalf of ArenaNet and the Skills team, thank you, and we'll see you again soon.
Wow.
Okay, that looks very, very good.
Yeah. A proper mesmer DPS spec that doesn't feel like it's limited in what it can do.
Hey everybody, it's Debbie Derryberry, the voice of
Wow.
Timey, your favorite, my favorite. We're so excited to be coming back for End of Dragons. Oh, there's so much I want to tell you. So great. See you there.
Hi, Debs.
Hi.
I love you, but
Andrew has headed back to keep
I don't
working on
have
End
time.
of Dragons for all. Colin has rejoined me, and Josh Davis, our head of live operations, is here as well.
Grouch! Grouch
Yes!
is back.
Hello, everybody. It's been a minute. It's great to be back at the studio
That's
again.
one way to put it.
Just in time to crash this live stream, and I couldn't help myself.
Thank you for crashing. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So, how about the Virtuoso?
Yeah, so like Andrew mentioned before, we've broken a lot of our pre-existing design constraints and rules around elite specializations with End of Dragons, which I think is going to be pretty interesting overall. Yeah. I think the fact that the Virtuoso doesn't have a clone mechanic, which has been a staple of Mesmer gameplay since release, is a bit of a testament to this. For me, Virtuoso feels like an entirely new profession, and I think you're going to see a similar design approach with all of the other elite specializations in the expansion.
Ooh,
We
that's
can't wait to tell
juicy.
you more about those elite specializations throughout the rest of 2021,
Oh.
along with other End of Dragons features that we mentioned today, like those other 2 mastery tracks. We got off to a great start. We got to share so many things about the expansion. Colin, you want to give us a quick recap?
I would love to recap that
10 seconds.
today. All right. So what have we heard about? Canthan region, we've got a storyline, mysterious Dragon Jade technology, creatures and masteries, new elite specializations, new strikes, each with their own challenge mode, a new Canthan guild hall, fishing and fishing boats, we're calling those skiffs, and 2-player mounts. This is the first time we're adding multiplayer mounts to Guild Wars 2. And one of the things I'm most excited about this expansion is it draws on some of the best elements and lessons from our previous 2 expansions. For story, we looked at some of the best things that we did in Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire, and then we brought that approach into End of Dragons, and I think it's the best story we've done yet. And then we looked at replay value. And Heart of Thorns, one of the big things that we've seen comments from our players about Heart of Thorns was they love the amount of replay value that expansion added to the game. And so we've really invested in this expansion in meta events, in our strikes having challenge modes, and having a full set of legendary weapons, the full 16 on launch day, day 1. There's a lot of replay value, and this is about an expansion that you can play for a long time. And we realize that's very important to our players. We also wanted to have game systems that impact not just the expansion, but the entire game. And really to look at the game deeply and systemically as a whole, the way we've done with gliding and with mounts and other expansions. And so with End of Dragons, if you look at the multiplayer mounts, that is an investment in us saying, hey, Path of Fire had mounts. We're going to try having multiplayer mounts with the turtle, and that's really exciting. Fishing and multiplayer fishing with skiffs is a game-wide experience that you can have, and I think that's really exciting too. Our mysterious dragon Jade technology, you'll find out more about that someday, also has had this approach applied to it. And there's 2 other really big things that we're working on that really play into the story of this expansion. For our world versus world players, alliances is a major feature that folks have been waiting for a long time. And it comes in our End of Dragons time frame. And it's a big thing that we know is about systemically approaching ways to improve the game forever for our players. And then the other big one we're investing in is our technology. And by investing in taking the game from DX9 to DX11, and a lot of the things that eventually will come with that, we really want to invest in holistically, how do we make Guild Wars a better game, not just with this expansion, but for the future. As a final note from me, though this expansion is named End of Dragons, I want to be abundantly clear, this is not the end of Guild Wars 2. We view End of Dragons as the next big stepping stone for this franchise, and we think the best is yet to come. There is plenty more coming after End of Dragons and Guild Wars 2. We're not going to tell you about any of it today, but we're very excited for you all to get to check it out someday.
Don't tease me, Colin.
We do have lots for you to pass the time between now and the launch of End of Dragons. Josh, you're up.
Yes, thank you. And we've got a lot to go through, so please bear with me. So first, in case you've been living under a rock, I do want to bring attention to the Living World Returns campaign, which is taking players back to Living World Seasons 2, 3, 4, and the Iceberg Saga. If you're tuning into Guild Wars 2 for the first time in a long while, you're going to want to listen closely to this. So here's how it works. Each Living World episode is available for free during its Spotlight Week, and all you need to do to claim that episode is log in. Season 3, Episode 5 is in the Spotlight starting today, and Season 4 is going to kick off later next month. And just to reiterate, this is a perfect time for veterans and new players to get caught up on the story in preparation for End of Dragons. Each episode has new achievements available, and completing those achievements is going to bring you closer to 2 fairly big rewards. Like Ruby mentioned earlier, you can earn a voucher for an End of Dragons precursor weapon, which is going to give you a head start on earning one of those Aurene-inspired legendaries that Chelsea showed us earlier. And if you complete the full meta achievement for Living World Returns, you'll be rewarded with a legendary amulet, which will fit quite nicely into your legendary armory. Now, it's worth noting that these achievements are permanent, so if this is the first time you're hearing about it, don't worry, you can still jump in a little bit late and catch up on all this content before the release of End of Dragons next year. But while we're talking about the near future, I'd also like to remind folks that we have the World Boss Rush bonus event kicking off later today. In that event, you can take out world bosses, which will progress a community goal and unlock new tiers of rewards for everybody. And there's more details on that event on the guildwars2.com blog. I believe that was posted yesterday. So like Colin mentioned earlier, we've also got alliances rolling into beta later on this summer.
Nice.
For anyone who's tuning in who's not familiar with the feature, Alliances is designed to deliver a more balanced world versus world experience by dynamically creating matchups using guilds. Alliances,
it's nice that they are touching on the whole Alliance and DX11 thing, just to reassure everyone.
System, that we've been using
I'm glad
for a number
that
of
they've
years that
mentioned it
relies on
again,
worlds
even
and
if
world
they've not
linking.
got lots of details.
And we know this feature is going to have a huge impact on the player experience in World vs. World, and we want to work with our players, with you, to get this right. And this is really why we're going to be releasing it in a beta state in phases. This is going to allow us to get feedback on each element of that system before we make it a permanent addition to the game. We mentioned this on July 2nd, but I want to reiterate, World vs. World is a core pillar for Guild Wars 2, and we wanted to make sure that we delivered something meaty for the game mode, aside from Elite Specializations with End of Dragons. And this feature is just the first step of many that we have planned for getting World vs. World where we and you want it to be. Now, Alliances isn't the only major feature coming before the expansion. Like Colin mentioned before, he's scooping everything. Well, I guess we already talked about it publicly, but we're working on upgrading the engine from DirectX 9 to DirectX 11. This is a long-awaited and highly requested update for Guild Wars 2. I think Ruby can attest to that one. And it all starts with an opt-in beta later this year. This changeover is critical for improving client performance, and it allows us to start ratcheting up our graphical fidelity, which is a long-term effort that we're very excited about. We plan to start these betas in just a few short months, and we'll be back in August, which is just a couple days away, to talk about those in greater detail. Yeah, my heart's pounding.
Nice.
Oh, good spot, Dawn. What is that she's holding?
4 elite specialization beta events planned for End of Dragons. The first 3 of these events
new partner thing to send to
9 new elite specializations. The 4th event
the 5-year one.
All 9 elite specializations and the Siege Turtle. You'll be able to play with the existing elite specs. You'll be able to play with the elite specs and Siege Turtles in existing PvE content, World vs. World, and in PvP. And just a general note, these betas are available to everyone.
Siege Turtle
even
is
those who
playable
are
in
on
World
free
v World.
Now the big beat here is that the first elite spec
Well, they're doing.
beta is just 3 weeks
He said
away,
that they're doing a
starting on
beta
August 17th, running through
as
August
like
21st.
for the new.
You'll be able to play with the Virtuoso, which we've got a rundown from
Stuff.
Carl on, and 2 more.
Even if you're free to play as well.
And as we count down towards those betas, we'll be revealing all of the remaining 8 elite specs leading up to each of the betas. And speaking of, here's a little sneak peek at the silhouette of the next elite spec that you're going to find out
Oh
very soon,
my
on
word.
August 17th.
What could that possibly be?
That's an alchemist of some kind, like
Interesting. Oh.
Yeah.
Witch Hunter,
I
Witch
feel
Hunter
like that's it,
Necro,
right? Like Ruby, do we have anything else?
Necro Pistol.
Necro Pistol.
Is that going to bring you back to Necro? Keep your Necro?
Maybe.
Working on this Arena Elder Dragon statue, and it is finally ready to share with all of you. You can pre-purchase this starting now until August 20th for delivery in January of 2022. We've also partnered with DX Racer to give away a
please
DX
now?
Racer
Yes.
Racing Series Pro Gaming Chair.
Wow,
check out the
that
news
statue
on
is
guildwars2.com
gorgeous. I want
to
it.
see how to enter and
Yeah.
how to pre-purchase the Aurene statue.
I wonder how much it is, though.
Surely that's everything.
It's collector's edition, isn't it?
Everything done.
Yeah.
There is one thing that we've seen a lot of you asking about. Early in July, early this month, we told you that End of Dragons is coming in, quote, early 2022.
Release date?
And we've been watching all of you speculate about what
February?
it
We
will
got a
be.
release date.
I am super excited to let you know
We
that
do.
the expansion will launch in February, and you will be able to pre-purchase today at 11:20 a.m. Pacific time. That is less than 2 hours away. To
Wow.
help pass the time until then, or maybe make the wait a little harder, I'm going to let you see the pre-purchase bonus items and what you can get with each edition of Guild Wars 2.
Here we
End of
go.
Dragons.
Here we go.
The
Now,
pre-purchase
these
bonus items
Buckle up.
actually leaked a little bit earlier from a Chinese site today,
the
didn't
Xing
they?
Jie Mosaic Cape and the
Ugh.
Prodigy of Xing Jie
Ooh.
title. You will get
These
all
didn't.
of those
Wait,
as soon as
a
you
title
pre-purchase,
as
so you
well?
can start showing
Nice.
off some
Nice.
flair in game right away. Every edition of End of Dragons has some great extras, so let's go ahead and talk about those too. The standard edition of End of Dragons includes a free shared inventory slot and the max level boost. The deluxe edition comes with those 2 items, plus an additional character slot, the Xing Jie Dragon Boat Skiff skin, a Cantha Raptor skin, which I love, and
Holy
an
shit, that is
identity
cool.
repair. And then the Ultimate Edition, which is the best value, includes all of those items plus 4,000 gems to spend. That was a lot,
Whoa.
you guys.
That boat
I
was
hope you enjoyed
awesome.
this first look at End
Jeez,
of Dragons
so-
and that you were excited for everything else we're going to show this year. Now it's time to start looking forward to the next elite specialization and the first beta event coming in August, which I think August begins technically this week.
That is very true.
Yeah.
You know, one note I want to add in. So you mentioned the identity repair kit that'll be available. There are going to be some new looks with the expansion that players can benefit from. So it does come in quite handy.
Nice.
New hairstyles? Lovely.
Good timing for that.
Indeed. Don't forget to check out Living World Season 3, Episode 5, which again is going to be free all week. We also have the World Boss Rush event starting today, and the World vs. World Bonus Experience Week is actually active running until Friday of this week.
And you can start pre-purchasing End of Dragons at 11:20 a.m. Pacific time today. Go pick it up, go in game, and show off your cool flair.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thank you all for joining us.
See you next time.
We'll see you again.
Wow. Oh, they've gone. Oh wait, are we gonna get the we're getting the trailer again. I need to watch this. I need to watch this one more time.
There's familiarity in this strangeness. Like a song, half remembered, a tune without words to carry it. I know you, and yet I don't.
You will soon.
Yeah, it is 11:20.
Who are you talking
to?
Just an echo in the mist. A possibility.
Look around us. Your children would be trapped in the past, if not for me. Their worlds are carved from the jade that I gave purpose. I promised them a future. A century of progress cannot end this way. I'm not... Cantha's not just a spoke in some grand cosmic wheel.
Would a great innovator give up so easily on that promised future?
I won't. I'll find a way to save us all. The future is out there. What are we waiting for?
Well, that's a bit ominous.
Oh, whoa! Hang on a minute.
Whoa, that's new.
What is this? All right, so that's Kunavang. So Kunavang is the is the sea. No shit. What if it's Bubbles?
Yeah, that can't be Kunavang.
That's too big for
Yeah,
that's got to be Bubbles, man.
Oh my god! Can you imagine if Bubbles is like a like Cantha style dragon?
Yeah. So
that would be crazy.
Be insane. So. In case chat doesn't know, there are generally roughly two kinds of the way that dragons are drawn. There's the standard Western dragon, which looks like a lizard with wings, and then there's the Chinese serpent, which are the big kind of long eel things.
Yeah,
and that was a big long eel kind of dragon.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and it doesn't look anything like Kunavang.
No,
because
it doesn't.
We've seen Kunavang in the trailer already. That's crazy, man. Hang on, I need to take you off push to talk.
That is genuinely crazy.
That was awesome.
You feel like the Dawn's just mentioned in the chat. She said, I feel like maybe they're siphoning the dragon's power with their tech, which would make a lot of sense. A, it's called Dragon Jade that they seem to be interfacing with. B, there was this huge explosion of dragon magic that just didn't go anywhere, and Aurene absorbed, like, supposedly most of it, but there was a decent chunk that didn't get absorbed and just flew out into the ether.
Yeah.
So that's very possible.
That is crazy.
Wow. All right, well, I'll do another giveaway, and then I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure. Catch you in a bit.
Okay, guys. Would you like to see some... Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the host, AK. How are you doing? But yeah, let's do a giveaway. If you would like to enter for the giveaway, all you need to do is do !community space 1, and I will be giving away another community chest. I've got a few more to give away, so make sure you enter for this one, and I'll draw the winner in just a second. So make sure you've got all your entries in. You do need to be in chat for that, and you also need to make sure that you are following the channel as well. Okay, right, well, I'll give you a few seconds to enter, and then I'll take a quick break, and then I will hop back, and then we can carry on with the post announcement discussion, because there's a lot to talk about. So, without further ado, the next winner of the giveaway is Vivo Avi. Vivo Avi, are you in chat? Please do type in the chat if you are here. If you are here, please type in the chat, and I will make sure to get a code your way for the end of the stream. I will be giving everyone their codes for everyone who won at the end of the stream. All you need to do is send me a Twitch whisper, and I will get them sent your way. There you go! Congratulations! Congratulations on winning the community chest. I am glad you were able to be here to claim it. So I will make sure to send you a code at the end of the stream. Please do make sure that you have your whispers open so that I can whisper you at the end of the stream and send you your code. So congratulations! Right, well, next giveaway shall be done. So let's get that open. If you guys would like to enter for that one, please do so. You can enter again. Even if you've won previously, you can enter for another giveaway. I'm going to take a quick break, and then I will be back shortly, and we will continue with the post-show discussion with Alex, and we'll talk about everything we've seen and all the new info and what our thoughts are. So stick around, and I'll see you guys very soon.
Which is pretty nice. I was just getting hyped up on that Necro pistol reveal. I mostly play my Necro. I wanted to bite into that some more. So we're just gonna kind of jam this out. I think it's important when you are painting to get too hung up on individual areas too long, and try to keep the hand moving across a piece. I don't know if we have a lot of, like, you know, professional artists or aspiring artists in chat or hanging out here from the community. I think it's a great part of Twitch that it's available for people. Art has changed kind of so much in the past, especially 10 years, in how people can kind of learn art. You know, I'm definitely aging myself like a lot, but I graduated from school in like 2004, which is a long time ago now, and just see kind of what's available for people to learn to draw and paint now online, whether it be through like Twitch, YouTube, or online courses. It's pretty amazing. I'm jealous of all the options, but I'm also feel fortunate to be in a position to kind of help so many people. And we've helped, like, you know, high school students, like, either prep portfolios up, or what to look for, how to identify things in their portfolio, all that stuff. And so, like, all these details, like, if there's like patterns and stuff on something you're trying to draw, you don't really have to focus on it too much at first, you know? I always think that, like, if I can just go in and kind of give some like quick marks, you get the idea of things, right? And that always works great. And it's always up to like whoever's painting. I used to spend a lot of time in the black and white really working on my values. You don't necessarily need to do that. I did sometimes. I think it helps me at the beginning to kind of figure out my contrast, my composition, my lighting. Yeah, there is a cat right here, by the way. This is Marlowe. He ignores me all day except for when I'm talking at my monitor. So he'll probably come out. And I do have like a blanket behind the back door is like, it's a back door that leads out to my porch, and it's like blinding light, and my camera will like auto adjust, and this will be total darkness if I don't put that blanket up. I need to figure out a better way to block it out. But this is Marlowe. Whoa, he did not. I think he wants to sleep right now. All right, we'll leave him alone. Oh God, he's getting fussy now. But I'm sure he'll be up in the business soon enough. Yeah, this is the post show. I think they should be changed in the title. It's like a madhouse of animals in here. There's clearly some type of delivery person outside. So I apologize. Yeah, we're gonna get like a black and white, get some values down, and then we're definitely gonna be bringing this into color. It's like just painting at home most of the days while be surrounded by a bunch of animals going nuts. I can't tell if they love me being home or they can't wait for me to be back out of the house someday. It's one or the other. It's a love-hate. Well, we're gonna paint the new skiff today. Pirate ship sims would be great, but I have no idea. I have no idea about anything. I'm just a simple dude who paints pictures. I try to paint a lot. Try to help other artists with their work. I think the biggest reason that always motivates me to try to help others with art is I remember going to school, and one of the biggest things was if I could just get like 5 minutes of this other artist's time to kind of help with my own portfolio, how much that would change the trajectory.
Okay, I'm back. Welcome back, everybody.
And kind of career goals.
Right. Hello, I am back.
To anybody.
All right.
I just know what
there we go.
Amount of difference.
Right. So, what did everyone think? Did everyone enjoy that trailer?
So, like, even here, like, it's good if you want to like swap brushes quite a
Okay.
bit. Most of the stuff
Hello.
work in Photoshop. But
You are muted, I believe. You're muted in Discord.
It's really what you're most comfortable with. It makes this thing look like it's
Professional streamer, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's
Hello.
us.
There we go.
Hello.
Hello.
And then we actually
Man.
this is a Cintiq.
What a lot to unpack.
Yeah, that's certainly something. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, where do you want to begin? So, do we want to work our way through, or talk about the highlights? Or
I don't know. What do the chats want? What do the chats want? Because they all seem to be talking about fishing, as far as I can see.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone seems to be screaming about fishing. Like, I mean, okay. So let me pull up my notes.
Mm-hmm.
Fishing and the turtle. That's been echoed in my chat as well. Fishing and the turtle.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we start with fishing, because this ties into two of the 3 mastery tracks, right? So they've wanted to do fishing for a while, as they said. And there's not been a good time to do it until now.
Yeah.
So fishing is going to be its own mastery track. So you can see, as that mastery track advances, you're going to be able to catch trickier fish.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's going to have implications in core Tyria as well.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I would have thought they would have just added it as a job.
Yeah.
And they haven't.
So like a crafting profession.
Yeah. Because you have like the chef, you have like the tailor, and fishing just kind of felt like a different thing. But the fact that they're going for a full mastery track for it as well. Like, if you look at the existing mastery tracks in the game, they're quite in depth. Like, you look at like the glider mastery track, right?
Yeah.
Where you go from baby's first glider to basically you can infinitely glide depending on how you do it.
Yeah, with stealth and everything in between.
Yeah, I wonder how. I don't know. Do you think the fishing track is going to be linked to the skiffs directly, or do you think they're going to do it in a different way, where like some of the masteries relate to the skiffs, some of them relate to the fishing, or do you reckon they'll scale both at the same time?
I think from what they were saying, they said they've got 2 masteries left to reveal.
Oh, so they will be separate then?
Yeah, so I think they'd be separate, but I think there will be some like symbiosis between the two, because I can see, training your skiff mastery so you can go out into deeper or rougher water or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where you'll be able to catch particular kinds of fish.
That definitely seems to track, yeah, especially from what they were saying on the actual live stream as well, how, they wanted to bring it everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's... Oh, go on, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, it's interesting because it's one of those things that everyone asks for, but no one really knows why everyone enjoys it so much.
Yeah, right. And everyone's like, it's fishing. And they just go, why?
Yeah.
Well,
it's going to be interesting to see. What I'm most interested in is, obviously, they've said that, there's like 200 types of fish that you can catch.
Yeah.
What do you do with the fish afterwards? Are they going to be linked to achievements and collections for maybe legendaries in the future, for example, or titles, like Master Fisher or whatever?
Yeah.
Or are they going to make it so that you can sell them to a vendor for gold straight or a map currency? Like, how are they going to integrate this into the existing game?
Yeah, I mean, I do have to say that, with the fishing mastery, obviously, as you develop through the mastery track, your fishing methods will become more advanced. So
yeah.
If there was ever a time to put the master beta title
of course.
into Guild Wars 2, like
100%. I mean, that just has to be there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It'd be a shame if it wasn't.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, it's... Yeah. I think there's certainly going to be a lot of new recipes for the chefs out there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Maybe trophies for decorations, that kind of thing.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Like a Billy the Bass guild decoration.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be amazing.
I don't know. But I think that it's got to have some purpose, or some, like you say, tied to achievements and collections, to actually be worthwhile to put in the game, rather than just saying, "Oh, here's a fishing rod."
Or maybe they'll use like the fish for ingredients for like food specific for the new elite specs.
Ooh,
that's another way they could integrate it, because it's not a direct integration necessarily.
Yeah,
but obviously the new elite specs, they've already said that they're already going to be changing. Like, they've broken their rules, right? Like, they got rid of clones on the Mesmer. There's nothing to say that there might be, new traits or new stat types. And there could be food to go along with that you can only get from fishing.
Very true.
It's not a guarantee, obviously, because I don't know anything about it. But, I'm just thinking in my head, how would I integrate that into the game without it immediately just being I'm going to fish for 20 hours so that I can make 5 gold, because nobody wants to do that.
True. Absolutely true.
So I'm sure they've thought of how they're going to integrate it, and I reckon it'll either be through like the food thing, or it'll be, like you say, with collections or achievements or something like that, maybe guild decorations.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think that they've got the existing infrastructure in place to do any one of those things.
Yeah, 100%.
So they've through all of the years of revitalizing the achievement panel, giving us decorations, collections, they could take in any direction at all.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see as well, because you can tell from what they did show off that they've really wanted to make an effort to integrate everything into, like, not only just the maps themselves, but also the lore as well. They mentioned the timeline with Cantha and how all of the events that we've had to deal with, how it's affected Cantha as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they link all of these things together, because I don't think they're going to do like like how the mounts were part of the story with Path of Fire. Like they served an integral purpose to the story.
Yeah,
I think they're going to do something like that, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and potentially as well, what with this Dragon Jade technology, which is very sort of not cyberpunk exactly. It's almost like sort of steampunk, isn't it?
Yeah, that was something that really caught my eye. I really want to see if there's like some Inquest crossover somewhere.
Yeah. Are we gonna? Can we call right here and now? Let's call it.
Yep.
Let's call it Dragon Punk.
Dragon Punk. Yeah.
Dragon Punk. That's what we're talking about.
Dragon Punk 2022. Love it. Yeah. We're coining that. That's ours. Anyone in chat, you can't take it. Yeah. We came up with that. Oh,
but
man.
That ties into the boats, I suppose.
Yeah.
That, could be all well and good fishing from the shore. But if you want the good fish, you're gonna have to get on your boat or a buddy's boat. And in fact, did they say that boats will be multi-person?
They did, yeah. Yeah, boats will be multi-person like the mounts, so
good move.
Really good idea.
Excuse me. Yeah, blimey. So, everyone gets their fish, and you take a fishing trip. Take a fishing trip with your friends.
Yeah, it's gonna be real interesting. I think the one thing I really like about this is that it introduces two things that will make just hanging out much easier.
Yeah.
Because I find in a lot of MMOs now, I feel like I can't just have my character just chilling in a particular place. Like at the moment with Guild Wars, I kind of just sit in the Mistlock forever.
Oh,
when I'm not when I'm in my downtime, so to speak, I'll just sit in the Mistlock. So it's nice to see that that's gonna be, another option that you can use to kind of just hang out and chill. Hey, Ian, how you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. But lots of things in here. So yes, if anyone's just joining now, you have missed the announcement, but we are talking about everything that happened in it. You've got in early because we've only just started.
Yeah. So of course, as part of the pre-order thing, there's gonna be you can get yourself a happy little boat skin.
Yes.
So of course, that's going to be monetized.
Yep.
So get those boat skins there for you. Just
yeah.
Do you know what? It was like it. I'm very excited because there's no when we're talking about stuff like fishing and boats and siege turtles. There's nothing. It's not like the mold breaking stuff that people were either shouting for or expecting. But what it does is it reinforces what we already have, And I think, and we talked about a bit of the impact that these lounges had on the game and sort of like these community and like the random meeting communities in general. But the fact that now you can, just imagine you go to Cantha or any one of the maps, and you're just going to see a bunch of people chilling out on the beach, just fishing away, or there's a boat floating on a lake. Just, it's bringing those community focal centers back into the game. without completely rewriting the text, you know? And as they said in the stream, with your siege turtles, you flip on the mentor tag, you can give someone a lift to where they're trying to get to. You know, siege turtle. Oh, the siege turtle parades. That's going to be so
It's
cool.
going to be so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the thing. You know, when they said in the blog post that they wanted to go back to their roots, I genuinely think that they weren't just talking about like Guild Wars 2. I think they were talking about Guild Wars as a whole. You know,
Yeah,
they really want to bring back that sense of, because I mean, obviously I didn't play Guild Wars 1, but from the people that I do know that played Guild Wars 1, Wars 1.
Yeah.
And they're kind of there because a lot of people who played Guild Wars 1 said there was like a really strong sense of community. So it's nice that they're kind of making that the forefront, because I think that's what sets Guild Wars apart, is that the community aspect of the game, not just from the community outside of the game, but even in game, like everyone is very friendly in Guild Wars. You know, if you ask a question in map chat, 99% of the time you're going to get a good, helpful answer, or someone who's willing to give you a 5-minute bit of their time to kind of help you in the right direction. And I think that is what really sets the game apart. And I think that this is just another way to improve upon that, you know, because there'll just be people around.
Yeah, it's man. Like it's like I said, you know, these are the big ticket items, but it's what they actually mean for the game in terms of more than just this is going to be coming to the game, you know, as a feature. What it means for the game as a whole is just, I think it's fantastic. Something that was quite interesting, which I don't think a lot of us were expecting. If you want to move on, is the new legendary weapon set.
Yes, that is a very interesting thing that they have done.
So, I mean, the idea seems to be that we're getting a legendary set themed on Aurene, so that the legendary weapons have a similar theme, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the precursor version is like a toned down version of the weapon. Yep. And then, as is kind of standard, I guess, and then the full fat version gives you all kinds of flashing lights and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, it's a bold move.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Do you know, it's interesting because I've been thinking about it, and it's actually a very smart move from them.
Okay.
And the reason I think that, even if you disagree with the idea of having like a legendary set, and there's a few things I'll cover on that, but I think it's very smart of them to do this because they've just introduced the legendary armory.
Yeah.
Legendaries traditionally are very gated and very difficult for a casual player to get a hold of.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously they've just introduced the armory. They've got the precursor voucher from the Return to Living World. So those players who have been playing for a while, but maybe perhaps missed out on that section of the story early and maybe haven't got as far into the game as to have a legendary already, but maybe are experienced enough that they can go through those maps themselves.
Yeah.
They're basically guaranteed the first step towards a legendary. And when you think about it, having a set with all of the legendary weapons, doesn't invalidate people who put a lot of time into getting their legendaries, because they are all the same style. So it's not like you're getting screwed over because you got the Gen 3 one and not the Gen 2 one.
Yeah.
And B, because they have them for every weapon, everyone can get one in that same style. You know, that is a really good idea, because it means A, the legendary armory gets more value, because once a player gets their first legendary, they're going to be much more likely to try and go for more.
Absolutely.
And B, because they are the same, effectively the same item, just with, you know, whichever weapon you want, there's not going to be any of this like, oh, I wish I had gone for XYZ one instead. You know, like you look at the Gen 2 legendaries, and there are some that are clearly better than others. And all that happens is you craft one and you think, oh yeah, this one's great. And then you see someone else walk by with the other Gen 2 legendary that you think, oh man, I wish I'd crafted that one instead. There's not going to be any of that this time, because they're all the same. They just look related to the weapon that you choose. And it's going to tie into the story with Aurene, because I can't see any way they would do it otherwise. You know, it's got to tie into the story at least. So, you know, I think overall, I think some people who like to have the choice of different ones, you know, like, so, you know, with the Gen 2 ones, they're all very different from each other.
Yeah. Definitely.
In this case, they're all the same. I think some people are going to be annoyed by that because they are all the same. But I think from ArenaNet's perspective, it makes a lot of sense to do that.
For sure. And I think that one of the things that would push people to going, because it seems like that they almost want to try and push the players towards the Gen 3 set, right? Because, you know, we're getting a free precursor ticket for one of them.
Yeah, yeah.
I know it was Vera in my chat saying that, you know, once you get the legendary, if you don't like the skin, fine, you've got unlimited transmutations on it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And if anything, it encourages people to try and gather them all.
Yeah.
Because it's the same skin. So they know, okay, I can have a full set for every single character I own if I want that style of weapon.
Yeah.
So it becomes more about the skin separate from the weapon, which was always my gripe with a lot of the legendaries, is that, you know, you look at something like Exordium, right?
Yeah.
Gorgeous weapon. Think it's brilliant. But there's no other weapon that's like that is a legendary.
Yeah.
It's not a problem anymore.
No. It's weird because Exordium was the last one to come out for Gen 2, wasn't it? And as such, it had a lot of unique traits which make it potentially more desirable than something like Eternity. Like it shapes itself depending on your class and the skill and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, it's yeah, and I think you're either going to love the style or you're going to hate it.
Yeah,
so there's going to be none
that's
of
the
this.
thing. For those players that don't like the look of them, they're just going to claim the precursor and leave it sitting in the bank or something. You know, they're not going to bother. But the thing that's interesting is the fact that they're doing this means that they are open to doing this in the future, and potentially more. Because the thing is with all the other legendaries that we've had thus far, every single one of them has had a unique effect or design, right?
Yes.
Now, all this says to me is that ArenaNet are open to the idea of doing full sets of a specific style rather than one style per item.
Yeah, for sure.
I would love to see some more legendary sets. And obviously they're going to do it. Like, they've introduced it once. I think they're definitely going to do it again, and I'd love to see kind of what sort of things will pop up, you know?
It opens up, like I say, it opens up the possibility that we can get more, not more regular legendary sets, because that would devalue it.
Yeah.
But it opens up the possibility that there's going to be. It's crackers, isn't it? We've just found out about Gen 3 today, and we're already talking about Gen 4.
Gen 4, yeah.
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 But it potentially opens up a possibility to them that was, until now, pretty much reserved for Black Lion skins.
Yes.
And I'm going to have to be careful how I'm going to word this because I don't want to come across like being a salty arsehole about it. But there have been Black Lion skins that have veered very close to legendary territory. To the point where there's, I believe the Stormbow was an abandoned Gen 2 longbow.
Yeah.
That arcane battle staff that's available as a drop. Like, what is that about? You know?
I think that's part of the real difficult part of how they determine what is or isn't a legendary. Because I don't know about you, when they first revealed legendary armor, right, the very first time they revealed it and they said, "Oh, look, it has this effect." And it effectively looked like a metal dress that didn't really look that good at all. And when I first saw that, I thought, okay, so it doesn't change its appearance that much, and that's supposed to be the best armor in the game, and it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
And I think there is a temptation on their side to do the gem store skins to look really, really good, especially when it comes to weapons and armor, where it very much toes that line. A great example of that, for my opinion, which is actually what my character wears, the Starborn cape.
Yeah, that's a lovely skin,
It's
but
gorgeous. It has a proper particle effect.
Yeah.
Like, I have both the Starborn cape and the Starborn outfit, right? The Starborn outfit you get for statuettes. The Starborn cape you have to get from opening the chests. But it's an uncommon reward.
Yeah.
So you can get both for, like, 30 Black Lion chests, which means you're effectively paying for a skin that looks like a legendary should. You know?
There are people in Hardstuck who have sunk 150 keys into chests and not got that.
Yeah, I got very lucky with mine.
Yeah, it's a fundamental issue that I've had since day one. Since was it the elemental axes, the first first ones they did, and I don't think I put anything out at the time about it, but I said to myself, is like, this sets a dangerous precedent because I mean the thing is, if you live in Belgium, you can't get that. You cannot get the Starborn cape.
Yeah.
Because
the
legally
gambling laws,
Yeah. And what I don't want to see is to have the unique skins. I mean, they'll have to, like, if they put a unique skin with a footprint in the Black Lion store, like, all hell will break loose. But some of the skins have been very, very close to
they toe the line,
territory. And I think now that there is going to be a portion of the community who is going to see it like, oh, Arena couldn't be bothered to make unique skins for each legendary weapon. But what they've done, if you want to spin it in a positive way, is given much more attention to a style for an endgame weapon. And that new set is going to be big on bombast. It's going to be big on appearance and particle effects and all that. And they can, and once they come up with the particle effect, they can just go all in and just be like, this is what we're doing with this set.
I think that you bring up a good point there. Yeah, it keeps the aesthetic the same. Especially when you look at Cantha. Cantha is very visual heavy. Like, that's how it was designed to be. So by sticking to one style that they can really nail down as, like, this is what we want, they can work with that. Because the thing is there's going to be new armor sets. There's going to be new armor styles with the Cantha, like with End of Dragons. We're going to see new armor sets. And I guarantee you that those legendaries have been thought about when those armors are, like, when they were designing those legendaries. I guarantee you they've been thinking about the new armor styles that are coming out, and they're gonna go very well with it. But the other thing as well that I think a lot of people don't realize is that this is also another way to avoid what happened with Path of Fire, where they promised a load of legendaries and then they never happened. is like, yeah, it was bad.
It was unfortunate. What with the collections for Heart of Thorns, or
so when they, I think it was they were supposed to release the legendaries. I think it was the Gen 2 legendaries. They were supposed to release them on launch, and then they were cancelled, and then they were brought, like a few were brought out much later.
Oh right, so did they say they were going to bring the rest out for Path of Fire?
They said they were going to bring out the rest of them, and then they cancelled them at the end and said they're not going to come out because this was around the time, I think, when they were having the studio downsizing, and so they didn't have the manpower to actually design them all. So they just said, "Sorry, we're cancelling them." This is a great way to avoid that problem.
If you make them all as a massive batch.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
The industrialization of legendaries.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Exactly, yeah. But I
6
think
sets a year. Let's go.
Yeah, honestly though, I don't see the problem with that, because I think as great as the legendaries are, you know, they're still very restrictive in the sense of how difficult they are to obtain. I genuinely don't think that having lots of different legendary sets is going to affect the market too much. And granted, I don't know the market very well, but if they are still just as difficult to obtain as the current legendaries, I don't see why it would be a problem for them to do this. And if anything, I can only see it as a benefit, because it means everyone can go, I like the style of that, I can get it on whichever weapon I want.
For sure, yeah. I mean, the market will spike at the release of...
Oh, yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah. But that's a given, you know, it always does. Yeah.
But, you know, so February, we've got August, September, October, November, December, January. We've got 7 months to get ourselves ready for more legendary weapons, right?
Yep.
And I'm going to assume that... I think we're going to get as ready as we can be, and then I'm fully expecting them to have like an Ender Dragons only gift.
Oh, you're going to do a curveball, yeah. I mean, it makes sense, because they did that with the Gen 2 legendaries. You know, you have to get like the gift of the Chak, the gift of the fleet, that sort of thing. I definitely think they will do that, and it would be smart too, you know, because it gets people in Cantha and.
Well, yeah, for sure. It's a bit weird that every legendary that was released after Chuka and Chumpa, you can do either or.
Yeah.
So you either do Desert Mastery or Jungle Mastery. I can't see them doing that for.
No.
For this,
I think the only thing because the thing is you make a good point with that, where you can do either or. I think they might do it again, but I think they will only do it with expansion number 4, if there is one.
We are really getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing, isn't it? Because it's one of those things. All these changes that they've talked about recently, you know, we've firmly cut the line of the previous era of Guild Wars 2 with End of Dragons now. You know, it is a new era. There is no more Elder Dragons to worry about, except for the last one. You know, they've said it's the end of Dragons. They've clearly shown that they want to push the game in a brand new direction. And it's really interesting to see all the tiny little changes, how they genuinely make a difference. You know, like, and we can kind of touch on this as well, leading into, you know, the new Elite spec that was revealed, you know.
What was it? The
Virtuoso, yeah. They've broken one of their cardinal rules for this expansion. This is something that, you know, I don't want to say it's like never been done before, but, you know, like, it is kind of groundbreaking for where they want to go with the game. The fact that they're willing to say, actually, we are going to break that rule because we can make something better from it.
Yeah.
You know? And that shows that they're willing to risk things, you know?
It's you know, like, and it just takes it all the way back to the blog post that they're willing to risk stuff, but at the same time, stuff like streamlining the legendary process.
Yes. Yeah.
it helps them get that focus back that they were talking about in the blog post, you know?
Yeah.
It's not, oh my god, we have to have 5 character artists dedicated to churning out
Yeah.
you know, the next however many individual legendaries, you know, it's a good move, man. It really is.
Yeah.
And then we've got there's just stuff, man.
There's so much to talk about.
So let's talk about the virtuoso, because you were getting and you said before this stream as someone who was potentially looking to get into Mesmer for Ender Dragon. Yeah,
it's interesting. I was right on both of my guesses, and I kind of surprised myself with that. So for those of you who missed the live stream, they did reveal what the Mesmer elite specialization was for End of Dragons. So if you saw the blog post they put out on, what was it, the 12th or the 13th, sometime a few weeks ago, they added a picture that was a silhouette of the Mesmer elite spec. And we were talking about, you know, what we thought. You know, there was a lot of discussion online as to, you know, what type of weapon it was, because it looked like a dagger, but it also looked like a spear to some people. And they seem to have this weird, like, pointed icon above their head. And so we were kind of talking about that. And one of the things that I mentioned was that I was really hoping for kind of like a blade dancer type thing with dagger, and I really liked the idea of having like floating daggers behind the head, and because it matched the icon that we kind of saw with that. And I also mentioned it would be cool to have something like psionics, you know, like mind blades and things like that. And lo and behold, all of those things are true. So yay, I guess. It looked really interesting. What were your thoughts on it?
As someone who doesn't play a lot of... Holy crap, Shay!
Whoa, hello!
We just got a raid by Sheriana. Hey, thank you so much, Shay. How you doing? Have you been keeping up with the announcement? Also, Shay's people, while you're here, we've got a community chest giveaway going on, so get involved. Yeah, you guys have got to let me know your thoughts about the expansion. But yeah. Oh, Shay, you darling. She's all right, Shay. She's doing Skyrim.
We do like Shay. We do like Shay.
We do. No, type rigged, exclamation mark rigged, Liloof. Giveaway is the thing that tells... Anyway, there we go. We're talking about the Virtuoso, the new Mesmer Elite Specialization. I don't know, man. Like, it just looks so cool and streamlined, and the way that they were talking about, rather than just trying to reinvent the wheel with
thank you, Lich,
a new elite specialization, they were looking at what they got,
yes,
and how they can fit a new elite spec around the existing class, which I think is a really good move for a couple of reasons. You've got I think approaching it that way can potentially prevent power creep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you're saying, look, we want this to be an extension to an existing class, as I think they were originally supposed to be, like, you know, an alternate way of playing the class rather than power creep. But the actual sort of style itself, it looks mobile. It looks very, very sort of sharp and clear cut. And I think it's going to be one of those. I think it's going to be a very burst specialization. Looking at it,
yeah, it's interesting. And Dawn mentions this in the chat as well. With the name, I thought it was going to be related to music as well.
Yeah.
But it isn't. But I think, if I remember, and I might be reaching here, I think one of the abilities was called Blade Dancer.
I was just about to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that's really interesting. I don't know if you caught this while they were doing the interviews. They've said that all of the elite specs are tied into the lore of Cantha.
Yeah.
So where does the Virtuoso fit in there?
Yeah, so we need to know more.
This
man.
is the thing. I need to delve into the wiki and like look through all of the Guild Wars 1 stuff now to find out.
My need to know more is intensifying.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh.
But it's interesting you mentioned the whole, you know, like looking very agile and crisp and everything, because like again, this was something I noticed while watching it, is the actual abilities themselves look way more over the top, but in a refined way.
Yeah.
They were much more kind of detailed than I think the previous Mesmer abilities are.
Yeah, because if you look at sort of like Mirage Mantras and Chronomancer Wells and that, it's big splats on the floor, and having the daggers like they were just floating, it reduces the visual noise of the class.
Yeah, exactly.
But it still looks good, you know?
Yeah.
Nice.
But it was even interesting, like they showed off the portals opening up above the enemies with the swords flying down. And just like the visual of those portals opening up, like you could see them spiraling open, but they had so much like detail, like small little particles coming off, like little wispy bits of pink and purple smoke, and then the main portal opened and you can see the daggers flying out of it. Like they were really high quality like effects for the attacks and things. Like I was really surprised, especially like the shield where it was like this kind of like geometric bubble, you know, like it looked really good.
Nice. Yeah.
And I'm hopeful that this is part of their engine upgrades to DirectX 11.
Yeah.
Because it looked a little bit too good for DirectX 9, if you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. Crashing our frame rates all over the world.
Yeah, 100%.
So of course, off the back of that, we also got the tease for the second elite specialization.
We did.
Necro Pistol.
Necro Pistol, indeed. I don't know if you noticed this detail.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was it a pistol in his hand, but on the belt area, there were 3 green spheres of some kind.
Oh.
I don't know if you spotted that, but I definitely did. And it leads me to think there's going to be some kind of like witch hunter alchemy style.
Oh, a witch hunter.
Yeah.
I am on board for that. Sort of like a Van Helsing type.
Yeah, exactly like a Van Helsing type. It fits the theme. It fits having a pistol. It looked really cool, you know, and like obviously we've got like the engineer with grenade style abilities already in the game. Why not have like, you know, condition grenades that you chuck into something, or maybe it applies another like a debuff or something like.
I'm on board for that.
It looks spicy.
Yeah. So we're calling this now. We're calling some kind of like monster hunter or witch hunter.
Or like some. I reckon it's going to be like a witch hunter, like the witch hunter, or you know something along those lines. You know, I think that's what it is. I'm confident.
Okay.
I guess the virtuoso to a T, except for the name. So I'm gonna stake my bets now.
Well, the thing is, we're gonna find out. We're going to find out more as we go through the weeks with each release, and then you'll actually be able to get your hands on this prospective witch hunter on the second beta weekend.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I like the fact that they mentioned August as well for some of the other betas, because that's literally this week.
It is, yes. So August is the first beta for the.
Yes, they said the Alliance's beta they'll be giving out more information. I think they also mentioned beta periods for trying out things like the Siege Turtles and the new World v World stuff. It's going to be real interesting to see what that's like, because they did also say as well, I don't know if you caught it, they will be opening up these betas for people also on free-to-play accounts.
That is. Did they do that for Path of Fire? Could you get into the? Could you do the
wasn't able to get into any beta for Path of Fire. No. So, yeah,
that's a very good move.
It's a very good move
because Shaman has just released a tweet as well.
Oh yeah.
If you buy Ender Dragons, you get Path of Fire and Heart of Thorns into the deal.
They are doing a triple bundle. See, I thought they would do this, and I think it's a really smart move for them, because this is what they did with Path of Fire as well. When they first released Path of Fire, and they said, hey, guess what? You need to buy Heart of Thorns too.
Yeah, and then everyone was like,
what? Hey. Can you not? Like, I want to buy a bundle. But what I really like about what they did is, instead of saying, okay, here's how you buy Heart of Thorns individual, here's where you buy the bundle, they said, well, there's no point having Heart of Thorns separate because there's a bundle. Yeah. So we'll just lower the price of the bundle. And that's what they did. Yeah. And it's a brilliant move for them to do the same with End of Dragons as well, for the pre-orders, and just for the game in general, you know, because I think that, like, I don't know about you, but for other MMOs that I have played, and I play a lot of MMOs, the most frustrating thing is finding out that I have to buy 3 separate DLC or expansion packs, and I don't know which ones are more up to date. I don't know which ones are good.
It's like if you buy one that's too late,
you can't play it.
One in the middle that you still have to go through.
Tough.
Like,
sorry, you can't do it. You're not high enough level. Yeah, and it's like, it's so nice that they just remove that problem altogether.
Yeah, it's
so good.
Yeah, and you know, when they were talking in the section where they were talking about the maps, they were talking about the fact that they wanted to bring the verticality back from Heart of Thorns to some maps, and that they wanted to bring back in the exploration that you got with Path of Fire as well. You know, they specifically talked about mounts, about map exploration as well. So it would be very strange for them to build maps reliant on mount travel, and then for someone just getting into Guild Wars 2 to buy Ender Dragons, and then they'd have access to a mount, but it'd be the Siege Turtle, which doesn't sound like it's going to be the most mobile.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you bring up a good point there, where you mentioned, you know, new players who don't have Path of Fire, but they did get, you know, End of Dragons, and then they're stuck without mounts or anything like that. Yeah. This cements to me that they are going to be moving to a progressive system and staying that way.
Yeah.
Where they are going to build off of the existing content, you know, because here's the thing. They've specifically said they wanted to progress mounts further, right? But they also added boats, right? There's nothing to say that in a future expansion they're not going to improve upon gliders in some way.
For sure.
Maybe we get airships instead of boats. You know, it could go so many different ways, because if they want to genuinely iterate on what's already there, which you can see time and time again from what they showed off, you know, how they're going back to the old systems and revamping them. They're adding new mechanics to existing systems. Like, they're very much pulling back on that less brand new, completely out of nowhere stuff, and much more of the brand new, reinvigorating what's already there kind of stuff. You know?
Yeah.
So I think I'm looking forward to see where they go after End of Dragons as well.
Yeah, they've done a lot of
it's a lot of groundwork that's been set.
Exactly, yeah. Like, they've 100%. Done a lot of groundwork for moving forward, and with, I think this is something that I guess they must have quickly kind of turned around since Colin and Grouch came back. That said, okay, you know, Colin's the game director, Grouch is head of live operations. They're going to be working together to figure out where they're going to push the game.
Yeah.
And, you know, as Colin said at the end, this isn't the end of Guild Wars 2.
Mm-hmm.
This is almost like a bouncing platform for where they want the next 10 years of the game to go, right?
And I find it funny because they literally say it in the trailer. The cycle is reborn.
Yeah.
I think that's what they mean. I don't think it's related to the story as much as people think it is.
It's sort of like a meta
It's
statement.
a meta statement about the game itself, 100%. You know? And I can't wait for it.
It's going to be great. So we've got a release date of February 2022.
Yep.
like there's so like Joel, I think we've been talking about this for longer than the actual presentation was.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you'll be able to pre-order it in a couple of hours. We'll probably have to update our referral links, so use our man.
Yeah, use ours. Yeah.
So with it, you'll get a cape, an outfit, and a title just for buying the standard version. If you buy the middle one, you get all of that stuff,
deluxe,
and you get the skiff skin and the raptor skin. And then if you buy the turbo edition, you get all of that plus 4,000 gems, which, if you want 4,000 gems, it's actually pretty decent value.
Yes, yeah. I think that's the thing. You don't have to buy the Ultimate Edition if you don't want the gems, but it genuinely is worth it if you wanted 4,000 gems anyway.
Because what's 4,000 gems? Is that what?
It's about 45 quid.
Yeah, and it'll be like an extra tenner or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On top of it, so
definitely
totally worth it. Yeah.
I've just been informed that the referral link will be the same. So
referral link will be
apparently,
the same.
Dawn has said that the referral link will be the same, and they're just going to update the page.
Excellent.
Even less work for us to do.
Even less work, so no one can continue to click on my updated link.
Yes, exactly. Make sure to use your links, guys, and turn off ad block.
Yeah. Help out us poor starving.
Yes, we're poor and starving individuals. Yeah. Please buy the game from us. Thanks. I bat my eyelids, but I don't look very good, so you know.
But there's just other stuff that we could touch on as well. So interesting. They're continuing with strikes.
Yes, you noticed that as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I was surprised at that. I thought, despite the fact of what we were talking about consolidating endgame content, I didn't really see them doing it, but they've actually done exactly what we were talking about, that they're continuing on a particular kind of endgame content, and they're also revamping the rewards so that it's standard across all the existing strikes. Oh.
Yes, I love the fact that they have introduced a challenge mode to strikes. I think that is a brilliant idea. And it touches on what we talked about earlier about a better way to get into raiding.
Absolutely.
It's exactly what we were talking about, where they needed to have a step in between strikes and raids because it still wasn't good enough to get people ready. And I think this will be that step potentially, you know. Obviously we'll have to wait and see, but it's hopeful. It's hopeful.
We can always be hopeful, but I think that there is a lot to be hopeful here for. I genuinely do.
Yes.
Really, really do.
So, should we touch on some of the things that we saw in the talk about, like the showcase of some of the story aspect?
Yeah.
So there's a few things that I noticed. I don't know about you. The animations and hand animations during the actual like cutscene style things, which is
I mean, because before in the game, they've generally been characterized by like random emotes, haven't they? Like
yes, yeah.
But yeah, so you picked up on some lip syncing stuff as well.
I did, yes. Now I don't know if this is just me being one of these people where I'm like really like focused in on that one thing. It really did look like the lip sync was much, much better in this like showcase they had of the game. I noticed it as well when you mentioned the hand animation. That kind of like confirmed it in my head that I wasn't just seeing things. Because if the hand animations are there, like that is something that's not been done before. And if they're doing hand animations, they're probably doing lip sync animations. Because unfortunately with this game, traditionally, the lip sync has either been not very good or non-existent for the vast majority of it. Unfortunately, that kind of came about after they changed how the story is told. Like, in the personal story, they have the like cutscene-esque bars that come across the screen, and then it's just the silhouettes of the two characters talking to each other. And then they shifted to an in-world kind of storytelling aspect with the living story, where it's all done in-game with you then running about doing whatever. But there wasn't very much animation. It was, as you say, it's the prefixed emotes that get used for the story. But they showed it off in that trailer, like one of the characters like slamming their hands down on the table, getting really angry and like pushing themselves up from the chair. You know, that was something we haven't seen before.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of mocap going on there.
Yeah. I'm excited to see as well with the character who I think is Mitrin. I'm still not entirely sure on that one.
I think that was the Empress.
You think that was the Empress?
I
Okay.
think that might have been the Empress.
But that character's lip sync was better than I was expecting as well.
Yeah. It's like little details, man. I remember in Guild Wars 1, they had no lip sync whatsoever. It's like when it zoomed in on your character's face while you were speaking, it was just like that.
Yep.
And then again, it was a really noticeable change when they introduced lip sync. It was like 2006, so it was sort of like kind of thing. But that little change, like you know, it brought a lot more to the table. You know, it was like
100%.
Hang on a minute, these characters are actually talking.
Yes, yeah, it's the immersion factor. It makes a huge difference, and I'm glad to see it there, because you know it's one of those things that a lot of people can take for granted, but when you know it's not there, it's very difficult to not notice. You know, it's like, I think a great example of this is with Living Story Season 2 and Fort Salma, and a certain character departs this world.
Lol.
And the problem is that when that happens, the character goes into like a default emote state.
Oh, is it
Yeah, that's the one, exactly. But then also, you know, the same thing happens with the player character. So the player character is just like yawning or something while this is happening. It's like, oh yeah, you know, the idle animation looks a bit weird, so they remove it altogether rather than
It's like
changing it.
female idle animation. It's been 7 years, ArenaNet.
Yeah,
give me it back.
Bring it back. Yeah, exactly. But that's exactly the thing, you know. Like, so this opens up the opportunity to kind of redo the animations that are already in the game.
Yeah.
What I wouldn't give to give a better dance animation.
So, I guess there's also sort of a lot of the hype that was around some potential big ticket items that didn't make their way into the announcement. Nothing like, if we're being realistic, nothing hugely surprising. So
yeah,
no playable race, no new playable race.
Yeah.
Like, after all that, are you that bothered?
Honestly, no, I'm not, to be quite honest. You know, there were certain things that obviously I would have liked to see. You know, like I mentioned earlier with the, you know, my top 3. You know, none of them happened. You know, but I'm glad with what we did get. Like, I don't feel like I was let down by what we saw. I genuinely feel like I came out of that announcement as, you know, like, I'm looking forward to playing End of Dragons just off of that stream.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's where Icebreed missed the mark. Not Icebreed, sorry. The Path of Fire announcement stream missed the mark with that one. Icebreed, the stream we just pretend doesn't exist. That didn't happen. But yeah, I really, really liked what we saw. And even though we didn't have any of those big things that I mentioned, like fractal revamps or, you know, like new raid wings or anything like that, I can see where they're going with the game, and I'm not worried because I feel like those things can come later.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's
you know, I'm confident that those things might still be a thing.
Yeah, like they were saying about alliances and the DX11 upgrade, it's stuff that can run concurrently to the progression of Ender Dragons, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like a great example of why I think this is still a thing. Like I mentioned the Fractal revamp as being something that could be really like, you know, game changing, right? And we were talking about, you know, like individual challenge modes. They've literally put that into strikes.
Yeah.
If they're willing to put it into strikes, there's nothing to say that they wouldn't put it into fractals later. Because fractals is a much bigger kettle of fish to deal with, you know, than strikes are. You know, so they're starting early with the strikes because they've only got so many of them, as opposed to the fractals. But the fact that they're willing to do it in the first place kind of leads into that idea that they might do it for the other content as well. You know, same thing goes with the raids. You know, like we've now got a branch in between where you've got strikes, then you've got strikes with challenge mode. Now you can have raids after that instead. They might progress that further. Raids with challenge modes.
You'll be doing Doom CM before you know it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I genuinely think that they've shown where they're going for it, and I'm gonna really enjoy where it goes afterwards.
Yeah, me too. Oh man,
I'm so excited. I've got to wait 7 months. 7 months I got to wait.
Oh, 7 months of farming and tidying away all of your other stuff.
And pretending my bank isn't full, yes.
And oh dear. Oh dear.
yeah, exactly. Well, that was certainly the announcement, wasn't it?
That was certainly the announcement. And I think everyone is going to be... I think I'd be very surprised if there's a lot of unhappy people. Like,
yeah.
I think there's something for everybody in that.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, the only thing I can see that people would genuinely be upset about is the legendary set. And I can understand why. You know, like, it's not like an unreasonable thing to be upset about. I can understand that. But everything else seems like a pretty good, solid... You know, we've listened to what the community actually want and have actually asked for, and we're giving it to you, you know? I look forward to it.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. Oh, dear.
Well.
Well,
thank you very much for doing this with me.
Thank you. It's not bad from a random message like late this morning, was it?
Yeah,
like, hey,
yeah. Yeah, we both decided, you know, this morning, like, yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's all good.
This is the place to be, honestly.
This is it. Yeah. But thank you very much. And thank you to both chats for being, you know, active and talking to us about, like, what your thoughts were.
Yeah, honestly, like, some of the ideas and opinions we've been getting from chat, you know, some of you were on the money, some of you were a little bit wide, but, you know, it's all right.
That's part of the fun, though, isn't it?
It's part of the fun, yeah. And
yeah,
I hope that everyone can sort of join us as we move through the announcements and you know, get to the beta weekends and finally over to Cantha in February 2022.
Yeah, Cantha Punk 2022.
Cantha Punk 2022.
Right. Well, I will mark that as the end. Make sure you all enter everyone's giveaways. I know Alex has got some going as well, so make sure to join those.
Got one to draw now.
There you go.
So that's going to be drawn in a couple of minutes. So this is one of my last community chests.
Oh! !
Rigged.
I have a few more to give away. So once Alex is done, if you want to grab a few more, you can always come over to my side. And make sure to use both of our links.
Yes.
To buy the expansions. It doesn't matter whose you use, just use the links.
Use one of ours because then we get fat stacks of ArenaNet cash.
Yeah. That's a lie, but yeah.
So untrue.
So wrong. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for stopping by. And yeah, we've got a lot to process.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys.
Well, see you later.
Soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Arthur, oh, you're using a mouse? Props for using a mouse. I remember way back in the day, I had done some art with only a mouse. That's challenge mode digital art. I haven't been nervous painting in a while. So thank you everybody for supporting me here.
Ash, you should come over and enter the giveaway for a community chest. Do it! Do it! Sorry if I scared you. There we go. Lovely.
Okay, so let's get some of the rest of this in here. I'm always just like a part of like